salient issues of the day. So a lot of focus on matters like Greenland. But one of the things that was long overdue could have been done by itself in advance of the completion of the first year is Trump talking about ICE and CBP operations nationally, what the administration is doing, why it is doing it, and how it is doing it to keep the promise that was made, which is we're going to enforce immigration. We're going to remove people who pose public safety and national security threats. And if that includes other persons in this country illegally in the process, then so be it. Oh, and we're also going to locate all of the children that went missing, all the unaccompanied minors that went missing during the 4 years of the Biden neo-Marxist Party's open borders. That deserves a couple of hours on its own, but it was good that he came out with pictures to pass around the D.C. press corps, presenting mugshots of all of the, not all, but a cross-section of the people apprehended by ICE in Minnesota, and offering this commentary.
People, vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? Because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, they're apprehended and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all of the things all of the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by a previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers. They're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers. They're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota, California. It's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, trouble.
This show and tell long overdue. I actually wish he would have done what we have done in this show previously, which is take those mugshots and profiles on the individuals apprehended and give us the details. Country of origin, because it spans the globe, the nature of the crimes, the status of the individual. It would have been helpful, actually, to hear more commentary, too, in terms of what the administration has been up against with respect to federal courts. You know, these judges and these politicians in robes that preside over federal courts that have prevented or extended the time required to remove people who have no lawful basis to be here. And then, you know, to sort of pull back and give us the big picture here. The aphorisms are applicable, right? If you don't have borders, you don't have a country, and the other favorite phrases of President Trump's. But the details here, too, just to respond to all of the specious arguments, not even arguments, the specious and defamatory characterizations of ICE, of what is or is not happening as federal law enforcement carries out its duties. He sort of started to get there, too. You know, if you didn't have open borders, none of this would be required. But the same riff you hear from Tom Homan, but we need to hear from the president, too, about how sanctuary jurisdictions force these activities, these law enforcement activities, into the streets and into the neighborhoods when our preference is to have it be mainly through jails. But when you have local officials that don't work with you, and maybe subpoenas have been issued, actively impede federal law enforcement, then this is what's required. I mean, just that framing against the backdrop of the hysterics and the histrionics and the mostly peaceful protesters, a little bit more of an extended riff. But I'm certainly happy that he came out to do show and tell on the work product device. Related story, DHS yesterday announced they have arrested more than 7,000 criminal illegal alien gang members, including violent gang members. It's sort of redundant, but we're talking about murderers, kidnappers. 7,000, according to a release put out by Department of Homeland Security. And that's not inconsequential either. I mean, yes, against the backdrop of 10, 12 million that were let in illegally, invited and released into the country, because that's what happened. Hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied minors and all of the buckets, for lack of a better description, associated with this problem and the problems created with open borders. But I mean, still, just that in raw numbers, that is substantial. And that substantially enhances public safety. And where you get local cooperation, it's going to enhance it that much more comprehensively and that much more quickly. Speaking of the financial crimes, he also had this to say about the fraudsters, including one who he believes is a fraudster, who's a member of Congress. I think you know.
Insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here, they have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country, because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman.
I love when President Trump goes full Johnny Jacobs in explaining the history of the world.
First, the earth cooled, and then the dinosaurs came. But they got too big and fat, so they all died, and they turned into oil. And then the Arabs came, and they bought Mercedes-Benzes. And Prince Charles started wearing all of Lady Di's clothes. I couldn't believe it. He took her best summer dress out of the closet, and he put it on and went to town.
And so now apparently the Somalis are reprising what Jacobs observed back there in an airplane. On the matter of Ilhan Omar, because there's been much made of this, I just wanted to touch on it. Some of it is the characterization of her net worth going from negative, and she did have a negative net worth when she got to D.C. in 2019, to $30 million. It's a little misleading because, congressional financial disclosure forms require an estimation of a range of an estimation of assets within a range. I mean, this is not to say there are not some curious things here between her and her husband. Is that another brother? I can't keep track. Anyway, she has they have two main assets. This is from her financial disclosure. Congressional financial disclosure information. Her and her husband, Tim Minette. A winery business that's valued at between $1 million and $5 million. And a venture capital firm that's valued at between $5 and $25 million. So, as little as 6, as much as 30, and, those valuations are not there's no need, there's no requirement to substantiate those valuations. So it could be inflated, it could be underreported. But the interesting thing about those businesses is where they started and how recently they went from no value to that value range. The wine business was valued at between $15,000 and $50,000 in the previous year's filing. So in 2023, it was $15,000 to $50,000, the valuation for the wine business. Now that's $1 to $5 million. In 2023, the investment firm, Rose Lake Capital, was valued at between $1 and $1,000. A year later, it's valued at between $5 and $25 million. So I'm not saying she's worth $30 million, but that is a quick run up in those two businesses, and I would be interested in how exactly that transpired, particularly against the backdrop of all of that benefit. All the benefits fraud that was going on, all the cash that was being shuttled out of Minneapolis. I mean, I have no idea, but with how loose the oversight was, to put it mildly, does some of that money make its way back to Tim Minette, with Ilhan Omar playing the dutiful, innocent bystander? I don't know. Maybe he just is an impresario in raising money. He's got some very attractive investments, and he was able to use relationships to raise the money for his investment firm. And I don't know, maybe he's got a new varietal that's all the rage in the wine connoisseur community. And so his winery is on the uptick as well. That's a big move, especially a winery or wine business. 15 to 50,000 the next year, 1 to 5 million. As is the capital firm, going from $1 to $1,000 in valuation to between 5 and 25 million. So, I don't know. I'm not making an accusation. I'm just suggesting that people asking questions about that run up in the net worth of the Omar family have a legitimate basis to ask those questions. All right, we'll have a couple of more tidbits from the Trump press briefing after we check the headlines, which we'll do now.
Good morning. It is 26 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Lurie Children's Hospital will no longer be initiating gender-affirming treatment for minors. The hospital was one of 6 nationwide that Health and Human Services General Counsel Mike Stewart said would be referred to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General for investigation for noncompliance. The hospital had discontinued gender-affirming surgeries last year, but was still providing gender-affirming medications to minors. The Chicago doctor accused of killing his ex-wife and her husband has been booked into an Ohio jail. A grand jury in Franklin County, Ohio, indicted McKee in the murders on Friday. McKee was extradited from the Winnebago County Jail, where he'd been housed since his arrest. McKee is accused in the shooting of Monique and Spencer Tippie in their home on December 30th. The couple's 2 young children were at home at the time, but they were unharmed. And State Representative Kimberly Dupluk. This report is sponsored by Rasmussen University. Whether you're new to nursing or looking to advance your degree, Rasmussen University offers a range of programs to help you answer the call for nurses. Because when you're ready to care for others, they're ready to help you get there. Learn more at rasmussen.edu.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you are invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquet and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Edward Jones agent Nolan Webster.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker and my new co-host,
Amy Jacobson,
on AM 560. We wanted you to know that we have a special show every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. here on AM 560 The Answer. It is Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and
Amy Jacobson.
It's every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. 2-hour show, 2-hour radio extravaganza. Amy, we're going to tantalize the listening public and listening private with all kinds of retirement planning information. So tune in at AM 560 Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
When you can no longer handle your own home, Hearthstone Assisted Living at the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights is here to help make life easier. Experience upscale living with comprehensive health services. We offer fine dining, engaging activities, available chaplains, weekly worship services, and quality amenities including a bistro, expansive library, and general store. For a limited time, mention WYLL for an additional discount. Call 847-595-5024 or visit LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
It's about time pros had one partner for the whole job. Why juggle 10 different suppliers when one can do it all? At the Home Depot, you'll save with pricing built for pros. You'll stay on track with job site deliveries, schedule, next day, or same day. And you'll get every size, every finish, every job lot quantity you need. One partner for the entire job. That's how pros get more done. The Home Depot Pro. It's about time.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning, followed by mostly cloudy skies. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but conditions will improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening with accumulation between a coating to an inch. Skies will remain mostly cloudy with windy and colder conditions as the temperature drops to a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Prop. So we're taking stock of MAGA 2.0 year one. Now in the books, President Trump holding an extended press briefing yesterday, full with displays and reports and highlights. Didn't expect a theological question, but we got one.
Do you feel like God is proud of the effort that you've put in?
I do, actually. I think God is very proud of the job I've done, and that includes for religion. You know, we're protecting a lot of people that are being killed, Christians and Jewish people, and lots of people are being protected by me that wouldn't be protected by another type of president. No, I think a lot of people are very proud of the job we've done. We've had an amazing year. This has been one of the greatest years. Even some people that wouldn't necessarily love me instinctively, they're saying this was an incredible year. We've had an incredible year economically.
And he went on, well, God, is God proud of me? Sort of a silly question. It should have been treated as such. But, you know, Trump in his Norman Vincent Peale fashion, of course God's proud of me. Okay. All right. Well, how about I just say I think there's a lot of things that we should be proud of in terms of what we've accomplished, and they're all in this handy-dandy report that I'll distribute and send one of my staffers to help you sound out the big words. That would have been maybe a better play, but it's nitpicking. I can see the point. On the economy, though, which is a nagging concern, nagging because people feel it's to be a nagging concern for them and their economic security and making ends meet. Certainly a lot do. Here's what he had to say about that. Things are getting better. And despite what happened in the market yesterday, the best is yet to come.
A lot of people are listening to the fake news a little bit, And I'm not blaming anybody. I think I blame ourselves. I think we've done a much better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, you know, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and they don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down, but they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong. But if you go back a year and a half, 2 years, take a look at those prices and look at the prices now.
Okay, hey, take it easy. 312-642-5600 if you want to give us a call or text with your review of MAGA 2.0 year one. You know, there's some new polling out, and I wouldn't place too much stock in this. Sort of a split decision. You get the blaring headlines like from Yahoo News in scare quotes. It's been 1 year of Trump's second term. More Americans than ever think he's changing America for the worse. And then you look into the poll a little bit, Yahoo/YouGov survey. First of all, it's adults, not likely voters. So that's major discount on the results here, because it's likely voters that drive election outcomes, by the way. And yeah, 34% changing things for the better, 49% changing things for the worse. But then if you look at the Journal poll that came out the other day, like I said, split decision. Yeah, his approval rating is down from where it was a year ago. Well, you would expect that, you know. The honeymoon is over, and whatever reality is on the ground, people's perceptions of reality, the president now owns that, including the price of groceries, the price at the pump, whether people feel they're getting ahead, they feel economically secure. I mean, he owns these things now in terms of the environment. And of course, part of the problem, and this is not unique to Trump, is that politicians pretend they have much more control over things like a $25 trillion economy than they actually do. But I digress. So it's a little bit down, but I mean it's still higher than approval ratings of Obama and W in their second terms. There's always fatigue with the president the second term, unless things are really, you know, going gangbangers like during Reagan. But even Reagan had his second term troubles. And you know, there are a lot of things that are going very well, even though they're complicated and not without controversy, as we're seeing with respect to federal immigration law enforcement, of course. But when I'm talking about the split decision, you can't look at Trump or Republicans in a vacuum. You compare them to the alternative, not to the God that Trump says is proud of him. And when you start to break down where people's attitudes are, likely voters' attitudes are with respect to who do you trust more to handle these core issues that are of interest to me because they drive my quality of life, like the economy, like immigration, like national security. I would say voters are not ecstatic about either party, but Republicans and this president have the edge on all those issues. So, you know, I know Jimmy Carville and some are out there running around spiking the football here in January about what they think is going to happen in November. But I would caution too much cynicism about that based on where we are today. And, you know, now that's, of course, contingent on what transpires over the next 10 months. And there will be a lot of things that do. But as we stand here today with all of the slings and arrows and all of the controversies real and ginned up, I mean, the president and the Republican Party is not in a terrible position. There is no reason to be tracing veins right now. 312-642-5600. Give us a call and let me know if you agree, disagree, have a keener insight than I've offered. Nick, Northwest Side.
Yes, good morning. It's nice to have you back again. I think we got to rely on Trump's instincts. You know, sometimes we forget, like the man Seward. I don't even remember his first name. All I remember is Seward's Folly, the guy after the Civil War who bought the land that then was Alaska called Alaska. Yeah, and we have that state across from Russia, which then Russia was not the Russia that it is now, of course. Now, if Russia had that land and those Aleutian Islands that swing out so far, where if you went straight south, you'd end up in Hawaii. I mean, that was just an instinct.
So is this a promotion of the idea of acquiring Greenland? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah, the Greenland is necessary actually for our long-term safety. If Russia or China, or maybe even the two of them, they're working together, would acquire Greenland. Well, what's NATO going to do about it? You know, what are they going to invoke Article 5? And how many soldiers have they sent to help us out over there? I think some of the countries sent 3, a couple of them sent 1 soldier. It's ridiculous.
Thanks for the call, Nick. Yeah, and they got a couple of dog sleds there too, that represent their security perimeter. But it was interesting. He did tackle questions from about Greenland, and he also had some comments about NATO. One was probably pretty encouraging to our erstwhile allies in NATO, and another comment perhaps less so. He was asked, how far are you going to take this?
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Boy, that's like a perfect movie trailer. But after that sort of Charles Bronson-esque response, when he was pressed on this, are you willing to go to the mat to potentially break up NATO if that was the price? And he gave a very diplomatic response. He does have the capacity.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of it's very interesting.
The NATO alliance.
So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before, in every way. Getting them to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was possible, and pay. At 2%, they weren't paying. At 5%, they are paying. And they're buying a lot of things from us, and they're giving them, I guess, to Ukraine. That's up to them, but they're giving them to whoever they're giving them to, but they're buying a lot. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
So that was a soothing response. But he also had this to say, sort of comment in passing when he was addressing this issue again.
The big fear I have with NATO is we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO. And I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm just asking. That was, to me, that was a little bit of a bait of some of the bloviators in Western Europe. So is this all for one and one for all or not? That comment he made will be put to European heads of state. And what are they going to say? They better say, of course it's one for all and all for one. Of course it's an attack on one is an attack on all. Of course we would back America. That's what they have to say, right? Because if they don't say that, then I'm sorry, who is threatening to break up NATO? So it was a very nicely played little passive-aggressive example of Trump doing some rhetorical jujitsu. That was nice. I tip my cap to that. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, Dan, how are you? You know what I love about Trump is that he's really not a politician, but he's playing politics. He just speaks his mind. But getting back to your question, if Trump wasn't elected the last time around, the whole United States would be like Illinois. And I just shudder to think of that, Dan, because when you possibly think it can't get any worse, I think it could have gotten worse. Have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Michael, Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you for taking my call. I am not cynical at all about the Republicans' prospects this year because I think that at the end of the day, people will look at Donald Trump and look at the alternative and, side with the Republicans. So,
thanks for the call, Michael. Yeah, that's exactly my point. It's the alternative that matters, even if right. So it's the but this is not to, by the way, be boundlessly optimistic, be silly about this. Of course, it's going to be very difficult to keep the House. Of course, Republicans are the underdog in the battle for the House in particular. I think much less so the Senate, by the way. But I'm just saying, the D.C. press corps, remember, they're in the business of trying to demoralize their opponents. And so their Chicken Little routine when it comes to Trump's approval rating or the people fleeing Trump or Republican crack up and all the headlines that you see, way overstated. Of course it is, because they have an agenda to demoralize you into thinking all hope is lost. Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I think Trump's done a pretty lousy job. Aside from ICE and getting rid of these people, he should be getting rid of 100 times what they're getting rid of. Notwithstanding how many people were brought in the last 4 years, said he was going to get us out of wars, and we're getting in more wars. He wants to get Greenland. I kind of get that. You want to get Greenland? Trade the Danes Puerto Rico. Give them Puerto Rico. We'll take Greenland. It's just I really don't get some of the things that he's doing. Israel's a disaster. Ukraine's a catastrophe. It just I don't get it. People are still living day to day or week to week, paycheck to paycheck, and things are getting better. And I agree with your last caller, or one of your last callers, who said that look at the alternative. The alternatives. Oh man, I don't even want to think about it, but he's right there. There's no doubt about it. Anyways, have a good one.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Greg is a sensible guy. He's Senate right on our side, but that does seep in. That's an example. Is he getting us into wars? I think he's established a pretty good record over his just the last year, much less 5 years worth of his presidency, at preferring to be the peacemaker. There's a lot of saber rattling goes on. There are targeted strikes, Iranian nuclear facility. There are extraditions of drug traffickers, targeted strikes, drug traffickers in international waters. But is he getting us into wars? Ukraine. The two Putin invasions of Ukraine happened on the Obama watch, didn't they? And yeah, he was being characteristically hyperbolic when he was campaigning for his second term here. Well, campaigning for the second term he won, I should say. So campaigning in 24, saying, I'll get in there, I'll solve this thing in 5 minutes. Of course, he was being hyperbolic. But he has taken pretty strong actions against Putin. You've got a problem with Western Europe playing footsie. He's taking a pretty hard line with Western Europe, has on any number of counts. Yeah, I don't. I think he has been decidedly on the side of peace through strength. Very Reagan-esque. And, you know, Reagan wasn't afraid to invade Grenada, for example. I mean, so to be a peacemaker doesn't mean that you're completely unwilling to use force. He's a peacemaker, not a pacifist. Those aren't the same things, you know? In terms of the disappointment about the Doge effort, I'm disappointed in that too. So it's not without disappointments, but there was always things that could have been done better, done more thoughtfully, been more sustained. But you do still have this problem, something else that he inherited, of caucuses full of big government Republicans. And so, you know, talk of primary campaigns to improve the quality of the Republican in Congress is certainly warranted. And I know Trump world is involved in some of those campaigns. Tina Joliet.
Hi, guys, or hi, good morning. I am so tired of Republicans piling on and using the Democrats' talking points. The economy is booming, and if you don't feel it, it's because you live in this horrible, god-awful state of Illinois. It is Democrat policy that is hurting all of our pocketbooks at this point. But what Donald Trump has pulled off in the Middle East is spectacular. He's spot on about who would have thought, 10 years ago we'd be talking about why we need Greenland. I totally understand. I completely get it. He's brilliant. He sees, 100 years down the road when we've have Republicans who are fighting over, naming a bridge somewhere. He is the most prophetic in his approach to, I think, the global order of things. He's helping stabilize South America. The guy has pulled off miracles in a year. And I'm tired of Republicans.
Thanks for the call, Tina. I mean, it's a great point that Tina makes about having to pick your head up and look outside of the corporate boundaries of Illinois to see what's going on in much of the rest of the country, even much of the rest of the Midwest. The highest state and local tax burden in the country, Illinois. Chicago leading the nation in murders yet again, even though murders were down. Violent crime. I mean, these things are self-evident if you have a pulse. So there is so much. I mean, we talk about this all the time on this show. I have, people have lots of opinions and want to strictly focus on Trump or what's happening in Washington, D.C., and they don't know who their state legislator is, and they don't know who their mayor is, and they don't participate in those elections. And those people have, outside of war and peace, those individuals have much more impact on the quality of your life than does the President of the United States. So Tina's 100% right. Pay a little bit more attention closer to home. Compare and contrast what's happening closer to your home as compared to other states. And maybe it starts to come into focus in terms of what the crux of the problem is. There are plenty of problems in D.C. and with the federal government, to be sure. But in terms of what's the delta, what explains the delta between, say, Illinois and Texas or Tennessee or Florida? Well, what's happening locally in Illinois versus what's happening locally in Texas or Tennessee and Florida. Tony, quickly, like 20 seconds.
20 seconds, yeah. Once again, Trump has to get up and do what his administration and Republicans don't do. And that's talk about the accomplishments that are being made and talk about substantive items besides going on the talk shows every morning. It's such
Yes, I agree. And that's why yesterday was long overdue, and there should be more of it. I agree with that. Thank you, Tony. Coming up at 6:06, Indiana, speaking of what's going on in other states in the Midwest, Indiana Governor Mike Braun, 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He's just landed in Switzerland. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I have no idea what's going to happen, but
You are well represented.
But President Trump is late. Right after he said that, and Air Force One took off, it had to turn around because of an electrical issue. So the president took a second plane to get to the World Economic Forum in Davos, with this topping his agenda.
He still wants Greenland, even as NATO allies question his efforts.
I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important.
The president has threatened new tariffs on 8 European nations unless there's a deal for Greenland, and he dismissed criticism from some U.S. allies who say he is endangering the NATO alliance.
Fox's Doug Luzader. In addition to the president's talks on Greenland, he'll also be setting up what he calls a board of peace.
After criticizing the committee set up to monitor Gaza, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is joining the board overseeing that committee. He's announced his country will be part of President Trump's board of peace, joining countries like the UAE, Vietnam, Belarus and Argentina. Dozens of others, including the UK and Russia, have been invited but are yet to respond.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. It has been 2 weeks since the deadly shooting in Minneapolis that left Renee Good dead. A woman Homeland Security maintains had been interfering with immigration enforcement, then drove toward an officer. That sparked even angrier anti-ICE protests and demands from Democratic leaders in Minnesota for ICE to leave. Well, now the governor and 2 mayors and the state attorney general have been sent federal subpoenas. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi tells Fox.
Whether it's a public official, whether it's a law enforcement officer, no one is above the law.
The U.S. military has seized a 7th oil tanker in the Caribbean, defying a quarantine set up by President Trump to control the shipment of Venezuelan oil. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 26 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The Illinois Supreme Court is considering whether Amazon must compensate warehouse workers for time spent waiting in line and completing mandatory COVID-19 screenings during the pandemic. It's a case that could have broad implications for wage and hour laws in the state. Katrina Barker has the story.
The lawsuit, filed by former Amazon employees, claims the company required unpaid COVID screenings before shifts. Amazon argues Illinois law follows federal rules that allow some pre-shift time to go unpaid. The case centers on whether Illinois' minimum wage law offers broader worker protections than federal law. Plaintiffs Miller Anderson and Johnson are represented by attorney Don Fody. Explained that federal law sets minimum wage and overtime requirements, but Congress later carved out exceptions that limit what counts as paid work.
Not all work is compensable.
Under federal law, only an employee's principal activity must be paid. Fody said Illinois law is different. I'm Katrina Barker.
Jury selection is complete for the trial of a man accused of putting a bounty on U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. Juan Espinoza Martinez was charged last fall with soliciting the murder of the senior law enforcement official. Opening statements are scheduled to begin this morning. And according to a new survey, the most hated tax in Illinois is the property tax. Illinois homeowners pay thousands of dollars more in property taxes each year than their counterparts across state lines, and residents feel that they're paying premium rates for services that haven't kept pace. This report is a service of Air Ride Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Ride Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
He's tried to mellow out.
For what reason, nobody knows.
But it didn't take.
Let me guess.
Sean Thompson.
It's not political party per se. It's character. And every decent American should be outraged at the idea that this goes unreported for a decade. It is unfracking believable that every decent American doesn't want to light the torches.
The Sean Thompson Show. Weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is Kevin Coyne, chairman of the DuPage County GOP. I am inviting you to our Lincoln Day dinner on Friday, February 27th at Abington Banquets in Glen Ellen. We will feature keynote speaker and national political commentator Tudor Dixon. Enjoy an evening of camaraderie, great food, and Republican unity. Sponsorship packages are available. Purchase tickets today at DuPageGOP.com. Paid for by DuPage County Republican Central Committee.
Everyone wants to know, so here it is.
On January 30th,
20 days in my life, my family, business, philanthropy.
witness history in the making.
There is much to accomplish in the next 4 years.
20 days
I will move forward with purpose and, of course, with style.
to become First Lady.
Here we go again.
Melania.
Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. I will see it on the news.
Exclusively in theaters January 30th. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry!
Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will, but get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Nauman & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Pretty smooth sailing on the Eden Expressway, 14 minutes both ways between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy is light right now. It's just 8 minutes in both directions from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. The Eisenhower, that checks in at 14 minutes inbound, 13 out between Wolf and the Old Post Office. And the Stevenson, no delays. It's just 25 minutes inbound, 22 outbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore Drive. You're in great shape on the Dan Ryan, 14 minutes in, 11 out from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. The express lane's just a slight tap on the brakes between 31st Street and the Stevenson. A little bit sluggish on the inbound Bishop Ford between 103rd Street and the Dan Ryan. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning, followed by mostly cloudy skies. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but conditions will improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening with accumulation between a coating to an inch. Skies will remain mostly cloudy with windy and colder conditions as the temperature drops to a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. It's Davos week. Our bettors jet off to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. where Klaus Schwab and his buddies get together and tell everybody to eat bugs and you will own nothing and you'll be happy. I know that Bond villain, actually he's not really a Bond villain, more like a villain from an Austin Powers movie. Klaus Schwab, I know he's not the head of it, but he's forever in our hearts because he embodies most of what you get from those dilettantes, the expert class that jets off to Davos. Fortunately, there are some wet blankets that are attending these days. Last year, it was Argentinian President Javier Milei, who, I mean, that ripped them apart for their command control follies. Beautiful. So far this week, surprisingly, a gentleman who went on a pretty good riff telling the New World Order types what the New World Order is before Trump got to town, and that's his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Your policies failed. Here's what we're doing. You should follow suit. Take a listen.
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level. Okay? We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar. You should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
Boy, it's going to be a tough week for those one world government folks. For more on this topic and others, please be joined by former United States Senator, now Indiana Governor Mike Braun. Governor Braun, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Do we have Governor Braun?
Sure.
Oh, there we go. Governor, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure.
Well, I thought that Lutnick riff would be of particular interest in our discussion because you sort of came in to the United States Senate from that perspective of America First and coming from a successful business background too. So you had some practical experience to apply to the philosophy. And I just wanted to get your reaction to what Lutnick had to say and how you think America First is faring.
Well, it came from Main Street, and then not the world dynamic that was being talked about in terms of Lutnick. And it's a different place. It emphasizes small business, entrepreneurs, and the worker. And it doesn't use a global framework of governance that is, taken so much out of this country and put us at the footstool of China, who wants to win the game in the long run, economically, of course, not militarily. And they've been laying out that plan. It should be obvious, and we need to make sure that we don't let it go any further. So when I ran, it was on a platform, even here in Indiana, which is per capita, along with Wisconsin, the two biggest manufacturing states. And we got to make sure mega corporations and big government aren't the dynamic that runs us here, or this idea of globalization, which is even doubling down and worse than letting it take foothold in your own country.
And so, Trump had that extended press availability yesterday, taking questions from the D.C. press corps, sort of in review of year one, came out with a big book of accomplishments. What's your assessment, year one of term two for the president?
I think you can see that whatever he does, it's a litany of the vested interests that still hang around that are represented there in Davos, and we've still got enough of that even in our own party. The other side, obviously, the federal government's their growth business and kind of cathedral wrapped into one, and we accommodated when I was in the Senate. The neocon defense hawks were the ones that would make the deal with every Democrat that's still looking to double down on what Lutnick was talking about, that we need to say there's a new game in town, and you can expect every part of mainstream media to give no credit to what has been amazing in a year. You look at the same legislative template that Biden used to say open borders. It's now like 99.9% sealed. That's for Trump even difficult to say, well, there's 0.1% left. It's an amazing record that I think puts us back on the right course. We can't have main industries offshored. We got to make sure that big government and big business doesn't control the dynamic. And I think it's a tough thing to try to change when it's been entrenched for as long as it was prior to Trump.
Before you joined us, we were talking a little bit about the same topic, but in the context of how you could be experiencing what you think the federal government is doing very differently in Illinois as, say, compared to Indiana or Tennessee or Texas or Florida. And, the need to pay attention to what's happening locally, too. Sort of an opportune moment. So the newly minted governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, former member of Congress, first thing she did was rescind the previous governor, Republican Glenn Youngkin's executive order directing state and local law enforcement to cooperate with ICE. That's the first thing she did, was rescind that. In addition, now that the Democrats also have control of the House of Delegates in Virginia, some of the legislation that's been introduced just since Abigail Spanberger got installed in the last week, a new sales tax, two new higher tax brackets. This is all legislation that's being introduced by that party that's now in control of Virginia. A new millionaire surcharge in the income tax, 3.8% investment tax on top of the state income tax, raise the hotel tax, new personal property tax on landscaping equipment, ban gas-powered leaf blowers, allow people to cast their votes electronically through the internet, extend the deadline for ballot counting to 1 week after Election Day, $500 sales tax on firearm suppressors, 11% sales tax on all firearms and ammunition, a premium for guns and ammo, prohibit outdoor shooting of a firearm on land of less than 5 acres, remove mandatory minimum sentences, replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. Is that similar to what you and Indiana Republicans did when you were installed as governor?
No, I think we did the exact opposite, and through executive orders, I think I did more of them than the last 3 governors put together. It was to, reflect a different way of doing business, even in Indiana, where you might run into some in your own party that are still stuck in that kind of slow gear. Look in Virginia as an example of what I said earlier, growth business. Control things through government. They're faster footed than we are, Dan, at the national level and in states where they're going to have both chambers and the executive branch. They don't mess around. And a lot of times it's beguiling because it gives stuff to people who don't want skin in the game, who are going to take it. And that's the hard thing for those of us that want to wean ourselves off of government. and then change kind of the dynamic to boot. So we got to be careful. It sounds euphoric for the people that now think, well, we're going to get something for nothing. You never get it for nothing. You lose your freedom. You have rules and regulations that start to descend upon you, and you start to try to change structurally government, even at the state level. Not happening here. We've reduced regulations. We've pretty well put a state formula in place for economic development. Listen to this. We're growing twice the rate of Illinois' economy and Ohio's, 3 times that of Kentucky's, 6 times that of the liberal bastion that's been running Michigan's economy. So people are moving into our state, the only state in the northern half of the country that's had people voting with their feet coming here to live. And a lot of that was in place before I got here, but our government was getting a little thick and overbearing, and we've been working hard to lean it up and make it easy, not hard, for a state to be conducive to raising a family and starting a business.
Something that looks like it's going to happen in Virginia that didn't happen in Indiana, and that's not good on either score, in my view. Virginia looking to redistrict and possibly eliminate 3 Republican congressmen or Republican-leaning congressional districts. You know, obviously the election will be the election, but that's what they're aiming to do. And there was a push for a redistricting in Indiana that failed because of some obstructionist Republicans in the Senate who had a problem with Trump or wanted to protect their safe little seats or whatever it was, but it failed, and that's a problem, isn't it?
It is, especially because all of those districts were strong Trump supporters, and these individuals would be part of that vestige of, we've got 40 out of 50 Senate seats, so you're going to have at least, there were 10 to 15 that were never Trumpers all along, even though their districts were. So that consequence will flesh out. Our filing deadline is in early February, and I think almost every one of them the voter will have an option.
Good.
Do you want the vestige of the past, or do you want to move into the new lane that tries to put America first and make sure your own states kind of get rid of the vestige of what has been hanging around in some places.
Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, now let's get to the most important issue facing Western civilization. I know. Congratulations on your Hoosiers, but that's just not enough. A national championship, it's just not enough for you. You guys are getting a little greedy there.
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing in trying to? I mean, first playoff win in 15 years, and you're trying to pull Caleb and Ben Johnson over to Northwest Indiana. What's the plan there?
Well, you can see it happened in other places, in New York's teams, and I think there's still the New York Jets and Giants playing in the neighboring state, but that seems like you'd be jumping from the frying pan into the fire there. Here, when you let an iconic franchise entity like the Bears, shove them into at the brink of when you've got to get the deal done, looking elsewhere, you can blame that on JD and this now additionally new mayor of Chicago that seems to take the place into a worse governance every time you get a new mayor. Blame it on them. They gave the cold shoulder, and we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to make it easy and to be welcome in a state that is going to save them tons of money over time, property taxes alone. And it'd be like the difference of, well, would you choose to do business with the federal government or California, or would you like to do it in a place that's a lot easier? And one of the benefits of why we've gained net migration into our state is the number of Chicagoans and Illinoisans that have moved into Indiana. And I'll let you put 2 and 2 together there. So we'll see. Don't want to get ahead of our skis, but it's been a long grind where the Bears have tried to work it out where they've always been, and that's how poorly Pritzker and the city of Chicago have handled it.
Would you settle for the Chicago Sky? We keep the bears. You can have the sky. Is that potentially? So I mean, like philosophically, where do you come down on sort of public financing or partial financing of stadiums? Because of course that's been a topic of conversation here as well,
Sure.
and we've got some past white elephants that are still on the backs of taxpayers, like Comiskey Park, or whatever they call it now. But I mean, are you guys talking about bringing state money or trying to incentivize, or is it just, look, this environment is going to be great for your bottom line, and it's not far from your fan base, and it's easy in, easy out. Maybe we'll make some infrastructure improvements, something sort of akin to what Arlington Heights is doing.
All of that and then some, because I think when they've looked at in just a couple, 3 months of how easy it is to do business with a governor that actually did run a business, signed the front side of a paycheck, not a guy like governor from Illinois that I don't know what he did in terms of his business journey, but it wasn't like
Sued
mine.
Sued his parents for money. Yeah.
and then we've got a legislature that's setting the template, so we're way out in front of it, and they've seen that. And I think that when you look at all the benefits, the fan base is still there. It's as close as Arlington Heights, probably less traffic to get down there. It adds even a bigger fan base from a good part of northern Indiana into the mix. And I think the rest of the fan base will see that when you've got a stadium that is going to be have all of what the new ones do, the ease of getting to it, and the fact that if it's not going to be more costly over time, you're going to get more out of the gate. And remember, we did this for the when Colts moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis, and Lucas Oil Stadium is a model for how you do it with an enterprising entity and an enterprising state.
Is that going to happen? Are you guys going to have Mayflower vans going out of Chicago in the dark of night to Northwest Indiana? Are you going to do to us what Baltimore did to you? Is that
No, I don't think so, because here it's been a 3-year lead up where they've been trying to work something out with a stubborn governor, state government, and the city. And I think it's a classic case where they were willing to call the bluff, and we're here, and now there's a good bit of education of what it would be like doing business with people that are not like the federal government or California.
And you think this is a genuine play, that they're not just using Indiana to leverage more from the state of Illinois?
Hey, I know that once this gets close or closer, you can expect some antics out of the state government and city of Chicago, but it's crossed into where there's more than just trying to use it as a bargaining chip. And we'll see. All I can tell you is we'll be fleet-footed. It'll be a much better value for the fans and the franchise in terms of what we'll be able to do to have them get a top-notch stadium. Remember, our credit rating is AAA. You better look in to see what Illinois is. And they've already said, the Bears will have to do most of the heavy lifting. When Pritzker did start to speak up a little bit, now that it's moved into a different dynamic, all of that plays into it. And there is some urgency because this involves their current setup at Soldiers Field that reaches a point where they got to have something done to make a smooth transition. We're just going to do everything we can to make it easy coming to Indiana.
And your conversation with Kevin Warren and other Bears officials have been productive. You think they're operating on the level?
Very productive. We think they're operating on the level. I've come from 37 years of running a business and getting into places where when you make big investments, you're sticking your neck out. You want to make sure it's not kind of built on euphoria and a shaky foundation. This is not that.
All right, everything's coming up Hoosier these days. Who knows? Interesting. All right. Indiana Governor Mike Braun, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Good to talk to you again.
Always enjoy it. Thank you.
Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan Proft here to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season. I'm talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. Your business can be a part of this effort. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help more than 30 children for an entire year. And when you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this deal, just call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. Again, that's 847-472-8950. One more time, the number, 847-472-8950. Or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That website again, 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 630. Come on, Dan, you know your favorite team is the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mr. Floridian. Ooh, such a deep cut. So clever, too. Actually, my favorite NFL team is and has always been the Pittsburgh Steelers. You say, why? Why the Steelers? I mean, I like the Bears, but I'm a diehard Steelers fan. Always have been. Make no apologies. It was because when I was growing up, when I first understood the game, it was the Steel Curtain era. Terry Bradshaw, Mean Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, and so forth. And Franco Harris, Rocky Bleier, back and forth, John Stallworth, Lynn Swann. And so it was Steelers or Cowboys. And I always loved the Steelers. I think the Mean Joe Green jersey throwing Coke commercial sold me. And I always hated the Cowboys, and it persists to this day. In terms of Florida teams, I like the Bucs better than the Jags, even though Shad Khan, U of I grad, great success story. But so there you go. That's why I always say, love my detractors. Please give me something to work with. Just be a little bit more courageous and call on in, and we can do it in real time. Coming up at 6:36, the latest installment of Why Dan Proft is Single. 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 29 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The state of Illinois has settled a lawsuit regarding a 19-year-old who was a patient at Madden Mental Health Center. According to reports, Anthony Stringfellow Jr. used a restricted item to take his own life while he was at the center. The man was supposed to be under strict supervision by center staff. However, the suit claims those routine checks did not happen. Stringfellow's family was awarded $10 million in that suit. Travelers at O'Hare International Airport experienced delays on Tuesday after a pipe burst in the airport's main tower. Controllers were forced to evacuate to smaller towers, causing nearly 900 flight delays throughout the day. Officials say the intense cold weather is likely the cause of that pipe burst. And the Naperville City Council said no to a proposed data center. Prior to the vote, residents spoke out at the meeting opposing the proposal, which would have created a nearly 145,000 square foot facility along the I-88 corridor. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
I'm Rob Cole, owner of Cole Digital in Frankfurt, the finished basement experts. Our CAD design team will craft a one-of-a-kind plan with a custom bar or kitchenette, a wine cellar, fitness room with a glass entry, and one of our signature home theaters or media rooms. With a Sony laser projector, 120-inch screen, and Dolby Digital surround sound. Or a video wall so you can watch 5 games at once. Acoustic treatment and architectural lighting complete the look. Tour our Cole Digital Smart Living Design Center, the largest in America, 15,000 square feet. 5 themed theaters, 5 gourmet kitchens, and 30 rooms of audio-video, lighting, smart home technology, and great design ideas. We're a conservative-owned local company that also gives back to our community. Visit us at coledigital.com, that's K-O-L-E, digital.com, or call us at 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's Joint Arthritis Treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 5-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still in great shape right now on the Eden in just about 15 minutes in both directions from Lake Cook to Montrose and the Kennedy. No problems at all both ways, just 8 minutes from Montrose to the Burn Interchange. It's about 15 minutes both ways also on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. And this Stevenson looks good from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore Drive. 23 minutes in, outbound is 22. The Dan Ryan is 14 minutes from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 11 minutes. A little bit sluggish on the express lanes inbound between 31st Street and the Stevenson, and there is an accident in Bensonville on Route 83 at Hillside Drive that you want to watch out for. This report is sponsored by Rasmussen University. At Rasmussen University, not only can you pursue your education goals with dedicated support, but when you get started on campus, you could qualify to pursue them with a new laptop. Learn more at rasmussen.edu. That's rasmussen.edu. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning with mostly cloudy skies for the rest of the day. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but should improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening, accumulating a coating to an inch. It'll remain mostly cloudy, windy, and colder with a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Time now for another reason why Dan Puft is single.
All right, gather around. Have you ever played this game with your spouse or girlfriend/boyfriend? Bare minimum or above and beyond? Have you ever played this game? Please don't. It only will depress me further. Bare minimum or above and beyond. She starts and he characterizes. And gosh, I hope my friends and listening audience are not in a relationship like this.
Does my husband think the things he does for me are bare minimum or above and beyond? Leaving me a Post-it note every single day.
Bare minimum.
Cooking dinner every night.
Bare minimum.
Doing the dishes after you cook dinner every night.
Bare minimum.
Doing your own laundry.
Bare minimum.
Planning date nights.
Bare minimum.
Bringing me matcha in the morning.
Bare minimum.
The New York trip that you planned for my birthday.
Above and beyond.
Buying me a car when we were engaged.
Above and beyond.
Buying me my dream car after I had our son.
Bare minimum.
Buying me a Cartier ring for our 7-year wedding anniversary.
Bare minimum.
What?
If you can afford it.
Okay. So just the ring.
Yeah.
Complimenting me every day, not just on my looks, but like my character traits, like how I'm funny or fun or you love me or like whatever.
Bare minimum.
The fact that you don't yell at me or call me names.
Bare minimum.
No, I had to add it.
Oh my God.
Paying all of our bills.
Bare minimum.
Being in this TikTok with me.
Bare minimum.
And there you have it.
Yeah, come on, guys. Step up.
I wonder how she got impregnated, because it wasn't that guy. 312-642-5600. Bare minimum, above and beyond. That's sort of, center cut Hinsdale, that couple right there, which makes me sick. And golly gee, when I use the phrase male impersonator, I'm talking about that guy. Just so you know. A related story. I've got a few I got to get through, so you got to chime in if you want to play a bare minimum, above and beyond, if you have played it and you'd like to do a mea culpa or have a bit of a therapy session from the traumatizing impact of being emasculated like that. Feel free to give us a call, but I have to get some other things in here too, because there's a lot of reasons, so many. They just keep piling up. When Lyle Bellato was dating an influencer, every date had 2 layers. The moment they shared, and the version then ended up online on her then partner's TikTok and Instagram accounts. Sometimes it felt exciting to be part of a storyline. The 31-year-old freelance content producer and nightlife server told Yahoo. Other times it felt like I was a prop. She attempted to establish a few rules with her alleged influencer. What is the standard, by the way, to be actually considered or to call yourself an influencer? Do you have to have a certain threshold of money that you make from this, or is it a certain number of followers? I don't know, or care, frankly. She tried to establish a few rules with a partner. It didn't work. Shocking. Shocking that the solipsist you're dating, who's obsessed with this phony reality he's projecting to the world, didn't abide your parameters. No showing her face, no tagging, no recording without asking, no posting arguments or emotional moments, no real-time locations, and no sharing posts without her approval. As time passed, she found her boundaries and rules violated in small ways, but she let it slide because she wanted to keep the peace. She found herself switching into performance mode when her boyfriend, I'm using that term loosely again, like husband, using loosely with the above and beyond or bare minimum guy. She found herself switching into performance mode when he pulled out his phone. Even simple things like walking together sometimes turned into staging. He'd tell me, do that again, or say that again for the camera. It pulled me out of being present. The moment stopped being the moment and instead turned into content creation. She also said it was jarring to see how her now ex posts TikToks referencing her insecurities or talking about things she did. Well, what did you expect if you're dating this type of person? I don't know. Not only do these male impersonators, not only do I find these male impersonators risible, it is just like that. This is, that bare minimum of above and beyond chick, this chick. That's what they seem. That's what they go for. Okay, well, tap me out. I'm going to play golf. The piece in Yahoo that used that anecdote I just shared as the basis to offer this review. Welcome to dating in 2026, where if you're a young person looking for love, you don't have to be young, by the way. You don't have to be in your 20s or 30s. You see women 40s, 50s, and dudes, or dude impersonators, doing this same nonsense, living there, having to post everything and doing content creation as a substantiation for a relationship or something. It's so superficial and venal and stupid. If you're a person looking for love, intimate details of your dates and relationships may very well wind up on the internet one way or the other. You could be fodder for a professional dating influencer who dub themselves modern-day Carrie Bradshaws. Ugh. Now we have to talk about that show about 4 prostitutes and their mom. The recapping romantic trysts, giving suitors playful nicknames. Or you could be an unsuspecting villain in someone's dating anecdote that goes unexpectedly, monstrally viral. Yeah, right. That's another thing. You have a date with somebody, it doesn't go well, and now you're projected out into the world as, let me tell you about this terrible person I had to endure dinner with, or something like that. Who needs it? 312-642-5600. Give us a call or a text. By the way, I know some of you say, but Dan, you're going to die alone. Got an answer for that, so just wait for it. But first, Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hi, Dan. I'd rather die alone than live like that.
Yes.
Well, now I know it's an influencer. I was going to say they should get divorced. This whole taking pictures of your wimpy husband while you walk through the woods and post it on the internet is just, this is what they do now, I guess. And how about thanking the husband? I mean, I stayed home and raised my daughter. So I used to thank my husband regularly for going out there and making the money. And remember who he was working for. He wasn't working to make my life better. He was working for our daughter and to give us a good life. I know I'm living in the 50s, but these male impersonators, be a real man. I mean, what happened? Where's the real man? I'm married to a real man. John's a real man, I think.
Well, thanks for the call, Mary Kay. I don't know. I mean, that's I guess I could say the same thing. Where are the real women? Why would you want to marry these dinks? But hey, teach their own. I got to work on my putting. Ken in Plainfield.
Hey, Dan. It's kind of a crappy test. It doesn't take anything into reality. I mean, I didn't do hardly any laundry. I cooked dinner on the grill maybe. But I also put in 15 to 20-hour days so my wife could stay home. So is it bare minimum or way above and beyond because I made sure she could raise our kid?
Did you get it? Did you get her a Cartier ring for your 7th wedding anniversary?
Hell no, I was a factory worker. She got a little diamond that she loved. The ring and all that stuff doesn't matter.
Thanks for the call, Ken. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's like, it's one of those things like I was just born in the wrong, era of human history, I think. Should have been born like at the 50s, like the 1750s. Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I'm just glad I don't have to date in this era because the women, all they have to offer are boobs, butts, and yoga pants. That's it. Nothing more.
Okay. Well, you'll be able to identify Rick if you're walking around Downers Grove by the staring. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, you go above and beyond every morning, giving us a great show that enlightens all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, George. You complete me. You had me at hello. But no, thank you. Mike, Yorkville.
Good morning, Dan. First thing I thought of was this guy was a simp that you were playing, and you reaffirmed that. And I couldn't believe it because I'm thinking of what you were talking about. The history of relationships, and hasn't ever gotten any better. We've added more counselors, more sessions for marriages and everything else. And we've been telling the men to go towards their women in understanding and emotions. But yet we've never asked the women, or rarely have, to move into the part of reason and logic. So therefore, it's never going to work because we keep on going that way and the women keep going the opposite direction for us to keep pursuing them.
Well, yeah, but, it's just, I think the problem is that the lines have been blurred. I think it was better in a bygone era because the lines were reflective of the reality of the differences between men and women and the different roles they play in so many respects. And now, ever since, I don't know, certainly since second wave feminism, all that has been pulled at and pulled at and pulled at and is frayed apart. And so you have this mess that I document in this segment and that I don't want to be a part of. David, Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Where does this couple live? Are they living in Winnetka? And who is this guy? He sounds like the police chief from the one that was crying for Hispanic deportation. My God, it's insane.
Yeah, thanks for the call, David. Just on the matter to close the loop on this. But, don't you want to have somebody? Don't you want to die alone? There's an app for that. Thankfully, the Chinese Communist Party has come through again. They have created such systemic loneliness that there's an app entitled "Are You Dead?" And I'm not. This is not a joke. Users must press a giant button on the app once every 2 days to signal that they are still alive, or the app will notify their emergency contact to let them know to call the funeral director. I mean, 2 days, it's not going to be that rank, I suppose. I'm good. I can keep for 2 days. Launched in May of last year, has exploded in recent weeks with many young people who live alone in Chinese cities downloading in droves. It's now the most downloaded paid app. It's a paid app. You got to pay for this. The most downloaded paid app in China. There are around 200 million one-person households in China. There was a stat I saw the other day just in terms of talking about replacement rate. China had fewer babies last year than they did in like 1775. So, demographics is destiny, which we've talked about intermittently over many years, and it's a problem in the United States as well. If you're not growing, you're dying, and it's another example of why China will never realize the power of their numbers, all at the hands of the destruction wrought by communist commissars. Anyway, so the Are You Dead? Basically, it's the Are You Dead Yet app. Wilson Hugh, who lives around 62 miles from his family, says that's exactly why he downloaded the app. He works in Beijing, returns home to his wife and child twice a week, but says he has to be away from them at the moment to work on a project, and he mostly sleeps on site. I worry if something happened to me, I could die alone in the place I rent and no one would know. That's why I downloaded the app and set my mom as my emergency contact. He's still doing it, even if he's alive. But if you're married, don't you already really have one foot in the grave? Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Is your dog keeping you up at night? You're not alone. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and we hear from exhausted dog owners all the time. The endless scratching sessions at 2 a.m., the horrible sounds of upset stomach echoing through the hallways, whimpering and pacing that means neither of you are getting any sleep. You've tried everything from special shampoos to different foods, even sleeping with earplugs, but nothing seems to stop those miserable nights because you're treating the symptoms and not the cause. Here's the truth. When dogs eat dead processed food day after day, their bodies rebel. Skin becomes inflamed and itchy, digestion gets sluggish and painful, and the immune system can't keep up. But there's hope. Rough Greens breaks the no-sleep cycle with the live nutrients your dog needs to heal from the inside out. Imagine peaceful nights again for both of you. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag. You just cover the shipping because everyone deserves a good night's sleep. Go to roughgreens.com. Use discount code SLEEP. That's ruffgreens.com. Discount code SLEEP. Sleep better tonight with Rough Greens.
Hello, can I have your attention, please? My name is Hugh McKenzie, and I'm a devout listener of The Answer. They have partnered with Food for the Poor consistently for the last few years. In the past, I've always wanted to participate, but unfortunately never had the extra cash at the end of the year to do so. But last weekend, I received the mail, and there was a bonus check for $2,500 from Mack Truck for selling commercial vehicles. I decided that I was all in. As I mentioned, I sell commercial vehicles. Everything from Mack, Volvo, Hino, Isuzu, new and used. I've been selling for over 30 years in the Chicagoland market. Call me at 630-918-9534 or check me out on the web. Google my name, Hugh McKenzie, and Hugh is spelled H-U-G-H, McKenzie is spelled M-C-K-E-N-T-Y. All right, thank you very much for your time.
To contact Hugh McKenzie, search Hugh McKenzie on LinkedIn or call 630-918-9534. That's 630-918-9534.
The fight against sexual exploitation begins at home. Sexual exploitation is no longer a distant issue. It's happening here in our communities, schools, and even our homes. Every day, millions of Americans are targeted and trapped through manipulation, coercion, and deception. Sexploited in America, The Invisible War is a powerful docuseries exposing the hidden systems and cultural blind spots that allow exploitation to thrive, and gives a voice to the survivors and families forever changed by it. Raw, unfiltered, deeply human, these stories reveal both the devastating realities of exploitation and the extraordinary courage of those who refuse to be silenced. Sexploited in America, the docuseries is presented by AGA Media and available to everyone now at salemnow.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is Kevin Coyne, Chairman of the DuPage County GOP. I am inviting you to our Lincoln Day dinner on Friday, February 27th at Abington Banquets in Glen Ellen. We will feature keynote speaker and national political commentator Tudor Dixon. Enjoy an evening of camaraderie, great food, and Republican unity. Sponsorship packages are available. Purchase tickets today at DuPageGOP.com. Paid for by DuPage County Republican Central Committee.
If stairs in your home are becoming difficult, there's a practical solution, and it doesn't have to come with pushy salespeople. Access provides dependable stair lifts designed to help you stay safely in the home you love. No gimmicks, no overselling, just honest guidance, quality equipment, and professional local installation. We'll explain your options, work within your budget, and let you decide what's right at your pace. For a straightforward, no pressure, free in-home consultation, call 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
How's this for range? We're going to go from Rick and Downers Grove talking about boobs, butts, and yoga pants. And by the way, yes, ladies, Rick is available if you're interested. To former United States Attorney General Michael Mukasey to talk about more intellectually hefty matters. That's at 7:07. It's not 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
President Trump has just arrived in Davos. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After he landed in Switzerland late to attend the World Economic Forum, an electrical issue had forced Air Force One to turn around last night.
Right now, they're trying to figure out scheduling. There's so many different moving parts whenever the president travels internationally. And to have an issue like this where the plane is late, you got to get on a new plane. Everybody's there late. The president's supposed to probably go back. Typically, he'll go back, go to a room, take some time out after that long flight, and then begin meetings. Sometimes they hit the ground running.
Fox's Rich Edson at the White House says this is the big issue looming at the forum, taking Greenland away from a NATO ally, Denmark.
The president says it has to be the case that the United States controls Greenland, and that is a red line not only for the Danish, but for the Europeans as well. So someone's going to have to come up with some type of creative deal.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is also in Davos and tells Fox Business this is why Greenland's important.
You can't have Chinese ships or Russian ships while you're coming through, that strait. So America needs to protect it.
But Europeans are considering retaliation to the president's threatened tariffs he'll impose on some countries opposing a Greenland takeover. Also at that forum, tomorrow the president plans to set up what he calls a board of peace to oversee the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire.
More countries are weighing in, greenlighting their participation, including Israel. The office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement today on X saying, quote, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced that he accepts the invitation of U.S. President Donald Trump and will become a member of the Board of Peace, which is to be comprised of world leaders. President Trump has floated the idea of replacing the UN entirely with his board.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv, Israel. The president will speak at the forum this morning and bring up other issues, including affordability, after signing an executive order on housing intended to restrict Wall Street investors from buying single-family homes. Vice President Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance expecting their fourth child. She's pregnant. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. An Illinois lawmaker is raising serious concerns about governance, cybersecurity, and legal compliance at Illinois State University following a state audit that found long-standing material weaknesses and repeated violations of state law. Katrina Barker has the story.
State Representative Paul Jacobs, who serves on the House Appropriations for Higher Education Committee and the Cybersecurity Committee, said that the Illinois Auditor General's findings for fiscal year 2024 point to systemic problems that have gone unresolved for years.
3 Category 1 weaknesses.
The audit found ISU failed to meet key legal and accounting requirements, including deficiencies in cybersecurity controls, outside employment disclosures, and student data protections. Several of the findings were repeat issues dating back more than a decade. Jacobs said the findings raise questions about accountability, particularly as ISU continues to receive increased taxpayer funding.
Jury selection is complete for the trial of a man accused of putting a bounty on U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. Juan Espinoza Martinez was charged last fall with soliciting the murder of a senior law enforcement official. Opening statements are scheduled to begin this morning at the Everett McKinley Dirksen U.S. Courthouse here in Chicago. The Naperville City Council has said no to a proposed data center. An attorney for the developer, Karis Critical, suggested reducing the number of generators that were needed, but in the end, the council denied the company's proposal. And the Italiano sandwich from Lardon in Logan Square has been named one of the 7 best sandwiches in North America. The Michelin Guide noted the sandwich's balance between the salty soppressata and the heat and sweet of the salami calabrese. And now I'm hungry. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Alex Marlowe can see a way to Greenland.
So the tariffs are just getting going. They've been very effective, been very helpful. We've got money flowing to our treasury. I made a prediction that what's going to happen is that Trump is going to have Greenland begging for Trump to buy them or to take them over. And you know how he's going to do that? He's going to do that with tariffs.
The Alex Marlowe Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at noon on AM 560, The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen closely. If your retirement funds include an IRA or 401k, this matters right now. The stock market is at an all-time high. The dollar is under pressure. Interest rates are heading down. And leading economists are warning that the global financial system is changing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now to get your free gold investment guide, valued at $49, plus your free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Investors across America are turning to gold and silver with Advantage Gold. Right now, silver is flashing a signal you can't ignore. Silver prices have been rising sharply, and history shows when silver moves, it can move fast. Learn more before this window closes. Call 800-900-8000 right now to get your free precious metals rollover kit. Find out about a tax and penalty-free rollover in 2026. Gold and silver can surge when the economy shifts, and they don't wait for permission. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry!
Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
When someone you love is living with memory loss, finding the right care isn't just important, it's everything. At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, memory care isn't an add-on, it's all we do.
When Mom moved into Terra Vista, everything changed. She's safe, engaged, and surrounded by people who truly understand dementia. And I finally get to just be her daughter again.
Terra Vista was built specifically for caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, with secure indoor and outdoor spaces, innovative therapies, and a community that feels like home. Residents stay active, connected, and respected every single day.
And the best part? Mom can live with dignity, and I have peace of mind.
If memory care is in your future, choose the community designed for it. Choose Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace. Schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you. Terra Vista, where memory care lives.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly, each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hackberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Your biggest delay right now is on the Stevenson. It's 37 minutes inbound, 24 outbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore Drive, and the Eisenhower is also heavy, 24 minutes inbound, 17 outbound between Wolf and the Old Post Office. You're also stop and go on the Tri-State northbound between the Reagan Memorial and the Eisenhower. The Dan Ryan is moving at 19 minutes inbound, 11 outbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. The Eden is in good shape. It's 16 minutes in, 15 out between Lake Cook and Montrose, and the Kennedy checks in at 10 minutes in, 9 out from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. You want to watch out for slow traffic on the Bishop Ford inbound between 111th Street and the Dan Ryan, and northbound on Lakeshore Drive slows down as you approach Hollywood Avenue. This report is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning with mostly cloudy skies for the rest of the day. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but should improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening, accumulating a coating to an inch. It'll remain mostly cloudy, windy, and colder with a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We've talked off and on over the last couple of years because of some good investigative work and reporting by people like Carrie Severino about the particular type of lawfare advanced by the eco-supremacist activists and the associated front groups for their activities. Groups like Our Children's Trust, which file lawsuits like the one they filed in Wisconsin, was they filed a suit in Wisconsin that attempted to hold the state, effectively attempted to hold the state responsible for the weather. They use, per the name of the organization, they use children as the front. I mean, these are frivolous lawsuits, but it's politics by other means through the courts is the point. Corporate shakedowns, perhaps judges being compromised by attending conferences put on by these organizations, signing or vowing support for particular in support of particular pledges they want public figures, politicians, officers of the court to take. So the climate variety of lawfare is just as undermining with respect to the rule of law and equal justice, equal protection under it, as other instances of lawfare, in the realm of criminality that we talk about more often. And here we fold in our trial lawyer friends, one of the biggest funding arms of one particular political party, along with their government union friends. There's a case before the Supreme Court that is of particular interest to our next guest, and we're going to discuss it. He is Michael Mukasey. He served as a U.S. District Judge for the Southern District of New York, also as Attorney General of the United States under George W. Bush. Attorney General Mukasey, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
So, lay out this Louisiana case that's made its way to the High Court and the implications.
Okay. This Louisiana case really has its roots back in two wars. One is the War of 1812, at which point Congress passed a statute called the Public Officers Removal Statute that said that when you have a lawsuit where federal interests are at stake, that lawsuit can be taken out of state court where state biases prevail and brought into a federal court. Fast forward to World War II when President Roosevelt established something called the Petroleum Authority for War, where he wanted to get oil extracted quickly so that aviation fuel could be produced, and in particular, he wanted to get oil extracted from off Louisiana, which was very well suited for aviation fuel. And he contracted with various oil companies to start extracting that oil so that the war could be won with high-quality aviation fuel, and they started doing that back in the 1940s. Fast forward again to the 1970s when the federal government passes legislation trying to encourage states to improve the ecology and prevent damage to their coast. Louisiana says, fine, we'll do that, and they established a permitting system that was effective beginning in 1980 that said you had to get a permit in order to do certain activities, including extracting oil, but any activity that was started before 1980, when the law went into effect, was exempt. And, of course, the oil companies were extracting this high-quality oil beginning back during World War II. The ecological folks swooped down and brought lawsuit claiming, no, you're damaging you're causing erosion, damaging the coast, and they sued for damages going back to the 1940s. We said, wait a second, there's a law here that says we're exempt. And initially, the court read it that way, then did a 180 and said, well, we're not so sure. And the oil company said, no. We're going to take advantage of this federal officer removal statute. This is when a federal law interest is at stake. We're entitled to be in federal court where we get a fair shake rather than in state court where the judges run for office. Their campaigns are financed by the plaintiff's bar. And lo and behold, the rulings show up the way they did here in support of the plaintiff's bar. This particular lawsuit that I wrote about is being brought by a parish in Louisiana where there are something like 25,000 residents suing for tens of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, Louisiana recovered for erosion damage years ago from the claiming that the Army Corps of Engineers had caused it. And so they recovered on that theory. Now they've turned around and they're claiming that no, this is caused by the oil companies. So the question is whether it ought to be brought in a federal court where the companies get a fair shake, and that's what's before the Supreme Court.
Right. I mean, so the local yokels that have been captured in many instances by the moneyed interests in a particular locality or state don't just do the bidding because what does it matter to me? In point of fact, I'll be not only financed, but I'll be feted because I just extracted tens of millions, maybe billions of dollars from oil companies that's going to go into the coffers of, the government where I live. Yeah.
Right.
And but here's the thing. Now, I mean, that makes perfect sense what you're saying, and that you're more likely to get a fair airing in federal court removed from the local interest. But you still have this problem. I mean, this is clearly part of the climate lawfare strategy by these organized, climate groups, to be generous in terms of describing what they are. But I mean, you also have these stories I mentioned too, where you have climate groups. They just this last year they scrubbed the names of judges that they had posted on their website to credentialize themselves for having attended their symposia and so forth. But some of the federal judges were implicated too in terms of being basically, I would say, politicians in robes with a particular agenda as it pertains to these sorts of lawsuits.
Well, I'm not familiar with those situations, but here there's certainly a tilt in state court, and the companies believe, and I think with some justice, that they'll get a much fairer shake if the case is removed to federal court. The state has resisted, of course, and so the Supreme Court is going to decide whether this statute, going back to the War of 1812, which has been expanded repeatedly to make sure that federal interests get heard in a federal court, is brought in federal court, not left in state court.
Yeah, and the forum shopping that goes on too. I mean, we're very familiar with this at the local level in places like Madison County and Cook County in Illinois.
For sure.
This is part of what we're discussing in the context of this Louisiana case too. I mean, it's not just particular to oil companies and environmental damage. It's something that's sort of endemic to the civil justice system in states like Illinois and Louisiana.
Well, it's anybody with a deep pocket who is perceived to be on the wrong side of a social issue.
Yeah. Yeah, that about sums it up. Michael Mukasey, he served as U.S. District Judge for the Southern District of New York, also former United States Attorney General under George W. Bush. Attorney General Mukasey, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way and affected his mobility. It became too painful to even go for walks. And when it seemed like John's only option was knee replacement surgery, a friend told him about the Joint Relief Institute and their affordable, non-surgical knee pain relief. John met with the Joint Relief Institute and discovered their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
Are you confident your IT systems are rock solid? There could be cracks you don't see. Don't leave your technology to chance. Take the Access One $10,000 challenge to find out. For more than 30 years, Access One has helped businesses strengthen their security, protect their data, and improve resistance to cyber vulnerabilities, all with reliable U.S.-based support. And here's their promise. If their experts can't identify at least one measurable improvement to your IT systems and processes based on NIST or CIS regulations, they will reward your compliance excellence with $10,000. $10,000 challenge, pretty good. This free confidential risk assessment is available to businesses with 25 to 500 employees, and it's a great way to verify your IT is secure and efficient. No gimmicks, just proven results from an experienced IT partner. Ready to put Access One to the test? Visit accessoneInc.com/challenge or call 800-654-1555 to schedule your risk assessment today. Take the $10,000 challenge by visiting accessoneInc.com/challenge. Certain conditions apply. See details online.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold. And the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
February 24th, President Trump delivers his State of the Union address to Congress. We here at AM 560 are throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows, the home of Jimmy Garoppolo. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with me, Sean, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, Jeannie and Amy coming soon, and John Anthony, along with fellow AM 560 listeners. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Again, you can get tickets at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by our friends, attorney Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates and Edward Jones agent Nolan Webster in Palatine.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
82 million Americans rely on AM radio for news, sports, talk, and emergency alerts. But unless Congress acts now, AM could disappear from new cars. Tell lawmakers AM radio matters to you. Text AM to 39179 and urge Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act before it's too late.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Are you 65 or older and dealing with chronic knee or shoulder pain? You're not alone. At the Joint Relief Institute, we've helped thousands find real relief without surgery. Our non-surgical, FDA-approved treatment uses hyaluronic gel that acts like a cushion between the bones in your knee. As we age, the cushion naturally wears down, causing painful grinding and popping. But our gel restores that cushion, allowing your knee to move smoothly again. Ready to stop the pain and get back to doing what you love? Call the Joint Relief Institute at 708-315-6800. Again, that's 708-315-6800.
Move better, live better with JRI.
Move better and live better with JRI. Contact the Joint Relief Institute today and get back to doing what you love. Call 708-315-6800 or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. Call 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Zeke, self-employed, called to refinance his $1 million home after being rejected by 3 lenders. Zeke contacted me after hearing me explain how I helped another self-employed listener who was also rejected due to lack of income. I helped Zeke secure an $800,000 cash-out refinance using the 12-month average of Zeke's business bank statements. Let's review. Zeke called to refinance his home after being rejected by 3 lenders, and we helped Zeke refinance using the deposits into his business bank statements. If you're self-employed and want to work with mortgage professionals who understand self-employed borrowers, call Team Hochberg at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of self-employed listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 and that website you love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. They just can't help themselves. Jackie Brown, actress, Pam Grier. I just saw her on an old rerun of Miami Vice. She looked great. It's back in the 80s. She was on The View. And, of course, on the occasion of the Martin Luther King holiday on Monday, we've got the race hustlers doing their race hustle. And, unfortunately, Pam Grier decided to tell an apocryphal story in furtherance of the man-hating, race-hustling shrews on The View.
You couldn't afford a car, you walked. Your dads walked to the base. And sometimes we would go from, tree shade to get back to the apartment. My brother and I, my mom, with bags. And my mom would go, don't look, don't look, don't look. And she'd pull us away. Wow. Because there is someone hanging from a tree. And they have a memorial for it now, where you can see where people were and left. And it triggers me today to see that a voice can be silenced. And if a white family supported a black, they're going to get burned down or killed or lynched as well.
Yeah.
Lynchings were a real thing and part of America's ignominious history, of course, as we discussed with Bob Woodson yesterday. Racism still exists. Jim Crow, slavery, man's inhumanity towards man based on race, terrible things, terrible blight on America's history. But it doesn't mean that apocryphal stories are okay. Pam Grier was born in 1949. The last documented lynching that happened in Columbus, in and around Columbus, Ohio, was nearly 2 decades prior to Pam Grier's birth. So, they just have to try to persuade, this is part of the hustle, try to persuade you that 2026 America is no different. We're not that far removed from when Pam Grier was a little girl. And that's not true. It's very reminiscent of what we saw on the campaign trail in the last presidential election. Don't forget this story. Don't ever forget it. It tells you everything you need to know about Kamala Harris. Remember her anecdote that she shared with Elle? My mother tells me the story about how I'm fussing. This is when Mom allegedly took her to a civil rights march back in Oakland. And she's like, baby, what do you want? What do you need? And I just looked at her and I said, freedom. Which, of course, we found out, in case you forgot, was plagiarized by Kamala from Martin Luther King Jr. I wonder if she recounted that story on Monday in remembrance. What do you want, baby? Freedom. The Martin Luther King anecdote that he gave in 1965 in an interview with Playboy, speaking to a journalist named Alex Haley. He recalled, in that interview, a civil rights march in Birmingham, Alabama, in which a young black girl told a white police officer that she wanted freedom. I will never forget, this is MLK, I will never forget a moment in Birmingham when a white policeman accosted a little Negro girl, 7 or 8 years old, who was walking in a demonstration with her mother. What do you want? The policeman asked her gruffly, and the little girl looked him straight in the eye and answered, freedom. She couldn't even pronounce it, but she knew it. It was beautiful. Many times when I have been in sorely trying situations, the memory of that little one has come to mind and has buoyed me. And so Kamala Harris, I don't know, she read that story and then she made it her own, literally. She was the little girl. And it wasn't a cop, it was mommy. And I want freedom. This is what bottom feeders these people are. It's really disgusting. And it's indefensible and should not be easily forgiven or laughed off because it exacerbates racial tensions where there otherwise wouldn't be any if people were operating in good faith. That's why it's important to expose. Coming up at 7:37. Surprising. The head of the IMF tells Europe to get its act together. We'll start there with economist Stephen Moore, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A woman and child are safe this morning after they were rescued by Chicago firefighters. According to reports, firefighters were called regarding a house fire in the 2000 block of North Laurel Avenue on the city's northwest side early this morning. The woman and child were trapped in the higher floors of the residence, requiring Chicago firefighters to use their ladder for rescue. The pair were taken to the hospital for evaluation and treatment. The Chicago doctor accused of killing his ex-wife and her husband has been booked into an Ohio jail. According to reports, Michael McKee is being held at the James A. Carnes Correction Center. A grand jury in Franklin County, Ohio, indicted McKee in the murders on Friday. McKee was extradited from the Winnebago County Jail where he had been housed since his arrest. McKee's accused of shooting Monique and Spencer Tepe in their home on December 30th. The couple's 2 young children were in the home at the time but were unharmed. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher isn't sure what's left to say.
What an excellent way to describe Tim Walz. A radical moron who absolutely enable this kind of behavior. They're not telling people to stand down. They're not discouraging people from interfering with lawful immigration efforts. I don't know what else to say.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Alex Marlowe at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Is your tech a train wreck? Slow computers in the office. Printers won't connect. Clueless support team only asks, have you tried clearing your cache? Your business deserves better than generic fixes. At Unique Computing Solutions, we cut through the chaos fast. Reliable support, real solutions from a team that actually understands your business. Get a free assessment today at uniquecomputing.solutions.com. That's uniquecomputing.solutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
We couldn't decide if we needed in-home care for Dad.
Right. Just some help here and there with bathing, organizing his meds, a walk through the neighborhood.
Oh, exactly. But everywhere we looked wanted us to commit to 10 hours a week. It was more care than he needed, and it didn't make sense to spend extra for it.
Then we found Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Only 4 minimum hours. We were shocked.
Now a caregiver stops by once or twice a week to help with the small things that make a big difference.
And Mom loves the visits. It's not just help. It's companionship.
At Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, we understand that not every family needs round-the-clock care. We serve DuPage, Cook, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. We conduct free in-home assessments and we guarantee compatibility. Call Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest today at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
Have you ever engaged in conversation about your faith with a family member, a friend, or a colleague, and when challenged on an intellectual level about why you believe what you believe, you've been at a loss for a reasoned answer? The Missing Think, a treatise on origin, purpose, and God by Mark A. Vogel, was written for you, particularly if you don't have a lot of time to sit down and read a lengthy book. A short read, it'll provide you with some thoughtful insight with which to challenge the skeptics in your life with effective and practical critical thinking. It may even strengthen your own faith in God. Seen through the eyes of an inventor and product development engineer, The Missing Think draws analogies to the wonders of the world around us and connects dots to some profound practical and historical evidence for the truth of Christianity. The book is available for download by visiting Amazon.com and searching The Missing Think, Mark A. Vogel. That's Mark, the letter A, V-O-G-E-L. Again, to purchase your copy, go to Amazon.com and in the search box, type The Missing Think, Mark A. Vogel.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
Rick Borick talks about the emotions of stock market investing.
At what point would you rethink your decision that you're invested in the stock market? And you'll notice that someone who answered that question 6 months ago saying, I'm not going to panic until it's down 30%, calls you up on the phone and says, it's down 8, what's going on? And I says, what happened to the 30% guy, right?
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Lakefront trouble this morning. You are solid on Lakeshore Drive northbound between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. Downtown pressure on the Kennedy. It is solid in the express lanes inbound between Armitage Avenue and Ohio Street. On the main roadway, you've got 16 minutes inbound, 13 outbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. The Stevenson is heavy, 43 minutes inbound, 24 out from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore Drive. The Eisenhower is running about 30 minutes in, 19 on the reverse side from Wolf to the old post office, and the Dan Ryan checks in at 24 minutes inbound, 12 out from 95th to the Burn interchange. Very slow inbound on the Bishop Ford between 111th and the Dan Ryan. This report is sponsored by Rasmussen University. At Rasmussen University, not only can you pursue your education goals with dedicated support, but when you get started on campus, you could qualify to pursue them with a new laptop. Learn more at rasmussen.edu. That's rasmussen.edu. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning, followed by mostly cloudy skies. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but conditions will improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening with accumulation between a coating to an inch. Skies will remain mostly cloudy with windy and colder conditions as the temperature drops to a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and some rather surprising comments, surprised me, from the head of the IMF. She is a Bulgarian economist named Kristalina Georgieva. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Ms. Georgieva had a message to the Europeans amidst the tensions between the U.S. and our erstwhile NATO allies. Her message to the Europeans: get your act together.
We are on record multiple times appealing to the Europeans to complete the single market, to concentrate on their domestic competitiveness. Europe has fallen behind in productivity. Europe has fallen behind in getting small companies to grow to giants, and that has to change. There are 4 things Europe needs to do. They know it, but they're kind of slow in the doing. 1, capital markets union. Make European money work for Europe. Right now, 300 billion euros European savings are in the United States. 2, complete their energy union. It is impossible to compete with 27 different energy systems. 3, complete labor market movement with qualifications. You cross the border from Germany to France, you can't work there. And 4, we want to see in Europe much more attention to research translating into innovation and capital. So, Europeans, if you're watching, get your act together.
Wow. The head of the IMF in Davos on the CNBC desk. Europeans, get your act together. Yeah, turns out you can't run a 21st century industrial economy on switchgrass and windmills. Even the PM in Germany now admits that. He admits shutting down nuclear was a severe strategic mistake. Hat tip Angela Merkel. Now electricity is expensive, shortages are real, and building gas plants and subsidizing prices is the interim play, but that's also unsustainable, so Merz admits. So what's happening? Germany is essentially undertaking the most expensive energy transition on the planet to ditch the clean and green and replace it with gas by 2031, maybe hydrogen someday. Meanwhile, industry bleeds, power prices stay high, and the EU's biggest economy is wobbling. I think that's the sort of thing that Ms. Georgieva is talking about. So all of the hewing and crying about Trump's admittedly erratic tariff policies and threats about tariffs and acquisition talks over Greenland notwithstanding, they need to look within. And that was, frankly, the message, as we played a little earlier, from Howard Lutnick that he delivered in explaining to the New World Order types that the New World Order is America first and you should follow our lead. Globalization has failed. For more on these interesting comments from unusual sources, please be joined by our friend Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with Art Laffer. Steve, if the IMF is nervous about what Western Europe is doing, imagine how bad the situation must be.
Yeah, that is for sure. I mean, there's an irony that one of the chief economists at the IMF, which is one of the most devious anti-economic growth, anti-capitalist institution in the world, should be lecturing about, well, maybe you should get back to capitalism and free market.
Yeah.
It's quite a story. So, because they've always preached big government, you know, the way you stimulate your economy is just grow your government. Europe has done that. There's so many facets of this story, and everything you just said is spot on. Germany really is a case study in how not to govern a country. So, for the last 50 or 60 years in the post-World War II era, Germany became one of the world's industrial powerhouse, German engineering, and they led the world in manufacturing. And then they took this idiotic detour into the climate change craziness, the green energy fad that was a complete failure. They deindustrialized their country in 10 years. They went from being a manufacturing powerhouse to not even having enough electricity to keep the lights on. And that's a real warning to the rest of the world that, look, you can use solar power, you can use switchgrass, you can use, wind power as kind of niche forms of energy, but it was never going to work to provide the kind of power you need to run an industrial country. So Trump is over there right now. I think he's just starting to speak as we speak. And I think what he's going to say is, look, do what we're doing. We've moved towards free market. We're using nuclear power, using natural gas, using oil, everything we've got, coal. That's what Europe should do. We've cut our taxes. We've reduced our regulation. That's what you should do. The United States today, and by the way, what a difference a year makes. A year ago, remember all these IMF economists and all the blue chippers and all the Europeans saying, United States is going to Great Depression. My God, the stock market is going to crash because Donald Trump is president. Well, we have 5% growth this quarter. We're growing faster than any other country, and they were all completely wrong. And so Trump does deserve to take a little, a victory lap here, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to stop going. All of our bettors, they're going to stop going to Davos because last year they got blistered by Malay, and this year they're getting blistered they're getting tag teamed by Lutnick and Trump. I mean, they're not going to feel so good about themselves anymore, maybe.
Well, let me give you one example about how much Germany, because Germany really did lead the parade in climate change craziness and the green energy movement. Today, after 12 years of using green energy. One of our poorest states, if not the poorest state, is Arkansas. Did you know the per capita income of Arkansas is now higher than the per capita income of Germany?
It's astounding, isn't it? It's astounding, right? I mean, you think of the German industrialists. It's almost like a stereotype, and they just completely. I mean, it's just policy matters. You can disintegrate a great economy by going to command control and going on these fanciful gambits that undermines your power, literally and figuratively, to produce.
But how many times, Deanne, do countries have to learn this lesson? I mean,
I don't know.
1,000 times? I mean, remember Argentina 100 years ago was next to the United States, one of the richest countries in the world, and then they went with the socialists and the Peronists, and they went from being one of the richest countries in the world to people virtually starving in the street. Same thing with so many of these nations that went with socialism, and it's just amazing to me that they still don't get it. And the Europeans better get their act together. I mean, and what they did on energy policy was especially crazy, because then after they realized, oh my gosh, this stuff doesn't work, then they became dependent on Russia, their enemy, for energy.
Well, I mean, we got a plank in our eye over here too. I mean, talk to the residents of New Jersey and Illinois and California too, right?
It's just a sad story. I mean, California, Illinois, and New York have lost more people to other states than any other state in the country. And you've said this many times, and I always borrow this line that things are so bad in Illinois that more people are moving from West Virginia than moving to people are moving from Illinois to West Virginia and Arkansas so they can increase their standard of living.
Yeah, people moving to West Virginia for the quality of life. Yeah, from Chicagoland. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whoa. So I wanted to get your...
You know what West Virginia doesn't have? You know what West Virginia doesn't have?
The Chicago Bears.
They don't have the Bears.
Yeah, right. We still have Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. We got that to hang our hat on. I don't know how many bills that pays, but other than for those gentlemen. Anyway, I wanted to get your take. We talked about it a bit earlier in the program, but it was important what Trump did yesterday, I thought, long overdue, particularly on the issue of immigration. But this was, of course, a one-year look back and recitation of accomplishments. And on the one of the matters that's dogging him, at least in Republicans in the polls, it's also dogging the other side, by the way, but is prices, and people still feeling like they're running in place at best, a lot of people.
Yep.
And this is what Trump had to say about prices, what's been done, and what's on the horizon.
A lot of people are listening to the fake news a little bit, and I'm not blaming anybody. I think I blame ourselves. I think we've done a much better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and they don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down, but they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong. But if you go back a year and a half, 2 years, take a look at those prices and look at the prices now.
So is that sales pitch sufficient, Stephen?
Well, what he said was true. I mean, the U.S. economy is booming, and the average family, if you look at the median income family income after inflation, it's up $2,500. So there's no time in history where affordability has been greater than right now. But, the irony of this is that one of the things that Trump is, whether you love him or hate him, he is a good marketer. He's very good at marketing himself. And yet he's right. They haven't done a very good job of marketing this economic comeback. And so we will see. But eventually reality has to catch up with perception. And people are going to start to see, that their incomes are up, that they can afford more. But it is a big problem in two areas. Housing is way too expensive, and the other, of course, is health care. But don't worry, we're going to expand Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. So we're going to make health care more affordable. Yay!
Yeah, I mean the health care piece is really a big one. It's an even bigger one than I appreciated it until I had a conversation with our expert, C. Stephen Tucker, last week, just talking about the premium increases that people are seeing and the externalities of now the gold plan is cheaper than the silver plan, and because of this Obamacare, this Rube Goldberg Obamacare scheme that is now spiraling, and I know Trump rolled out the great health insurance plan last week, but that was more concept than detail, and that's a real nagging thing, because people will feel that, particularly when they have to pay. Or the out of pocket up to $8,500, the median person.
Well, I feel people's pain because we just got our premium increase for 2026. We're up 15%. 5 times the inflation rate. Since we passed the Affordable Care Act, and that was the name of the bill, the Affordable Care Act, and it was passed 15 years ago, health care costs have almost tripled.
Right.
Way to be, Obama. Way to be.
But here's the rub. If we're being honest, which we try to be on this show, if I'm Joe Q citizen and I'm looking at this, I say, right, you got control of the House and the Senate and the presidency, and you said you were going to address this, and I just got my premium increase. So what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the problem, is that you've got to unwind Obamacare, and nobody is doing it. Now, we helped Trump on his speech he has a lot of very good ideas, healthcare price transparency, reducing the cost of, look, the big villains in this whole story, Dan, are the health insurance companies.
Right.
I'm in Washington. I'm on Capitol Hill. The biggest lobbyists are the health insurance. Yes, load it up. More Obamacare.
Right.
They're making fortunes off of this.
Right, and he's identified the villain, and he did again last week. But now, what are you going to do to address the villainy? Right. And that's where Republicans are falling short, because he has problems in both caucuses, particularly in the House caucus in his party.
Well, I'll just say this: the Americans are overinsured for health care, not underinsured. And if we savings accounts and then catastrophic coverage, we could dramatically lower the cost of health care. I really, truly believe with a more sane free market system, we can get better health care outcomes in this country with half the cost. And since we passed Obamacare, by the way, there have been very few gains in health care outcomes.
Well, the whole thing is, there's just so many Republicans that are short-sighted. They don't want to make an investment of political capital to reap the rewards of going in the direction that you're describing.
They don't like talking about health care.
Yes,
Every time that the issue of health care comes up, they shrivel in the corner.
Yes, well, we need more people that are a little bit stouter of heart in leadership and in the rank and file, too, because they can gum up the works with small majorities. Stephen Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Stephen, thank you as always.
Okay, Dan, have a great week. Take care.
You too. Take care. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Looking for some hope? Listen to Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. Weekday mornings starting at 8.
Sean Thompson here, and with me today is my friend Dr. Michael Huber, who is one of the creators and developers of Virago. So, Dr. Huber, why don't you tell us what Virago is, what inspired you to create it, and the benefits of it?
I created Virago with 23 natural ingredients that work together to create this immune response in the body. I created it to fight viruses in the beginning, and it's turned into a huge immune booster in a liquid form.
Right, and why a liquid versus a pill?
A liquid provides a rapid response time in the body, and it's optimal for absorption. When you swish it and it's in your mouth, stimulating the bitter taste receptors, you get a rapid response. Like within 15 minutes, you can have a decongestion in your nose.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. And now you can order a bottle at myvirago.com. Myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and MAHA.
MAHA starts with Virago.
Making America healthy again.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Stay tuned for a special message from Angel Dad Joe Abraham about his daughter Katie.
Put yourself in my shoes. I just spent my first Christmas without Katie. My daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant Governor Pritzker protected. Imagine her final breaths, knowing that you would have given your life for hers, but you didn't have the chance. Put your child in Katie's shoes. Think of the unfulfilled dreams, the unrealized joys, and the permanent loss. I'm not a political guy, but when politicians unleash violent criminals, we all need to get involved. We can do better, and we must do better. Ted Dabrowski would have protected Katie, and he'll protect your children the way I wish someone had protected mine.
I'm Ted Dabrowski, and I approve this message.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today. Online at 560theanswer.com/mobile or text the word app to 312-642-5600.
If you're over 40 and plan to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've built becomes just as important as growing it. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They help investors reduce risk by adding gold and silver to their portfolios. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll have the latest from Minnesota, the subpoenas that have been issued, the Nicki Minaj rap featuring Don Lemon as the subject. Not bad. Not that I'm a Nicki Minaj fan, but she's gaining ground with this offering. That's at 8:08. It's now 8 o'clock, AM 560 WIND.
President Trump is on the world stage. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, in Davos, Switzerland, where he's touting an American economic turnaround.
Growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before.
The president arrived at the World Economic Forum late after an electrical issue on Air Force One forced it to turn around last night. He had to take a second plane there. The president also just mentioned the operation that ousted Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and saying now that the U.S. is ready to rebuild the oil industry there.
Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years.
He said that the day after the U.S. military seized a 7th oil tanker in the Caribbean, defying a quarantine set up by the president to control the shipment of Venezuelan oil. Now, Greenland will be a big issue at the forum. European leaders adamantly oppose a U.S. takeover, but the Treasury Secretary is urging them to
listen to his argument because I think they're going to be persuaded.
That's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also defending the president's threat to impose tariffs on some European countries that sent troops to Greenland to support NATO ally Denmark, which controls the territory now.
For those countries to activate their troops, I'm not sure what signal that's supposed to send. It seems pretty quixotic to me.
It's been 2 weeks since the deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis sparked an even angrier protest over immigration raids and an outcry from Democratic leaders in the state. Attorney General Pam Bondi went there and told Fox,
people will be held accountable. I'm not referring to those subpoenas that people said they received. I'm not going to talk about that, but this state is a mess right now.
You heard the Attorney General there say she wouldn't expand on the subpoenas. They were issued to the offices of 6 Minnesota officials, including Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Fry, for possibly impeding federal immigration enforcement in this state with their anti-ICE rhetoric.
Fox's Matt Finn in Minneapolis. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The Illinois Supreme Court is considering whether Amazon must compensate warehouse workers for time spent waiting in line and completing mandatory COVID-19 screenings during the pandemic. It's a case that could have broad implications for wage and hour laws here in the state. Katrina Barker has the story.
The lawsuit filed by former Amazon employees claims the company required unpaid COVID screenings before shifts. Amazon argues Illinois law follows federal rules that allow some pre-shift time to go unpaid. The case centers on whether Illinois' minimum wage law offers broader worker protections than federal law. Plaintiffs Miller Anderson and Johnson are represented by attorney Don Fody. Fody explained that federal law sets minimum wage and overtime requirements, but Congress later carved out exceptions that limit what counts as paid work.
Not all work is compensable.
Under federal law, only an employee's principal activity must be paid. Fody said Illinois law is different. I'm Katrina Barker.
State of Illinois has settled a lawsuit regarding a 19-year-old who was a patient at MAGA Brooklyn Mental Health Center. According to reports, Anthony Stringfellow Jr. used a restricted item to take his own life while he was at the center. The man was supposed to be under strict supervision by the center staff. However, that suit claimed that those routine checks didn't happen, which led to Stringfellow's death. Stringfellow's family was awarded $10 million in that suit. And the Italiano sandwich from Lardon in Logan Square has been named one of the 7 best sandwiches in North America. The Michelin Guide noted the sandwich's balance between the salty sopressata and the sweet heat of the salami calabrese, and it sounds so good. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Prop University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Nathan's Famous, known for its annual July 4th hot dog eating contest and longtime presence in Brooklyn's Coney Island, has been sold to Smithfield Foods. For more than a decade, Smithfield has held an exclusive license from Nathan's Famous to manufacture, distribute, market, and sell Nathan's Famous products. Johnson & Johnson is reporting an upbeat quarter. Its forecast is better than anticipated despite the impact of tariffs and a recent deal with the Trump administration to cut some drug prices. Netflix is still dominating streaming. It added millions of new subscribers last year. Wall Street is disappointed because its growth is not as strong as the previous year. Gold prices are higher this morning as investors monitor developments regarding Greenland. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
On February 24th, President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address to Congress.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And AM 560 The Answer is throwing a viewing party, and you're invited to join us for dinner at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. Enjoy dinner before the speech, and then watch the speech with AM 560's Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, and John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/party. Sponsored in part by Stephen A. Leahy with Opum Tax Advocates.
Dan Proft here to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season. I'm talking about our Food for the Poor business benefactor program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. Your business can be a part of this effort. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help more than 30 children for an entire year. And when you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this deal, just call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. Again, that's 847-472-8950. One more time, the number, 847-472-8950. Or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That website again, 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Your company's IT needs used to be handled by a trusted local partner, but now they're a faceless nationwide service provider. Response times are slower, projects drag on, and you're stuck explaining your systems to new techs again and again. At Unique Computing Solutions, we've welcomed over 10 clients who are fed up with that exact experience. We're locally rooted, relationship-driven, and committed for the long haul. Get a free IT assessment today at uniquecomputing-solutions.com. That's uniquecomputing-solutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry!
Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Eller. Gonna start on the northbound tri-state. The exit ramp for Halstead Street is closed with police activity, and then further north, you've got some slowdowns approaching the Eisenhower, but the Eisenhower looks great both ways from Wolf Road to the old post office. Watch out for a crash on Lakeshore Drive southbound right at Belmont Avenue. It's taking out one lane, and you also have an accident on the inbound Dan Ryan at 79th Street, but overall, it's 14 minutes inbound and 12 outbound between 95th and the Burn interchange. On the outbound side of I-57 at the Cal-Sag Channel, the right lane is blocked, all because of another accident, and no major slowdowns right now on the Stevenson, looking good on the Kennedy and the Eden. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning with mostly cloudy skies for the rest of the day. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but should improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening, accumulating a coating to an inch. It'll remain mostly cloudy, windy, and colder with a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just a brief walk down memory lane. I think it's good to do every once in a while to remind people where the neo-Marxist party was before it was as neo-Marxist as it is today on this matter of border security and people in this country illegally. I mean, it really couldn't be more stark. The positions being taken and the rhetoric being used in advance of those positions. I'm talking positions being taken like open borders, like abolish ICE, and the characterizations of federal law enforcement officers as Nazis. I'm talking about, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about in terms of an exchange, and then we'll take that stroll down memory lane. Here was an awful with some of her awful friends on a sidewalk in Mogadishu, Minnesota, screeching at some ICE officers that were parked.
In Germany that I gotta carry my passport with me? I'm not gonna make me wear a star like my ancestors? I'm Jewish and Latin American, and I have to deal with this shit. My ancestors were murdered by Nazis, and now you guys are back doing it all over again. You. You know, I hope you burn it. You're a Nazi! You're a Nazi!
Read a
fucking Gestapo!
That's a party to which you can affiliate with those awfuls, and I think there was a male impersonator thrown in. That's center cut. And I'm happy to hear some Democrat, somebody who still calls themselves a Democrat, tell me that isn't where their party is. The no person can be illegal signs. So that stroll down memory lane. Bill Clinton, since we got a State of the Union address coming up at the end of February, Bill Clinton in his State of the Union address in 1995 on the topic.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants.
Barbara Jordan was a Democrat and a person of color. Oh, heavens. His wife, Hillary, in 2008 on the trail.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes. And you have to try to learn English. And you have to wait in line.
Learn English, wait in line. That was an applause line in 2008 for Hillary Clinton. Barack Obama on the trail in 2007.
I think we should have strong border security. It doesn't make sense for us to allow hundreds of thousands of people coming through our borders without us knowing who they are. Oftentimes in very hazardous situations and unmonitored situations that could do us long-term damage. I think we should have a serious employer verification system where employers, when they hire somebody, find out what their work status is. Are they able to work here legally? Right now, what employers will say is, well, we check their Social Security card. That's the best we can do. So we've got to set up a tamper-proof system and then hold employers accountable. And this, for some, is the most controversial part, that we've got to have a pathway to citizenship for the 12 million people or so who are already here. You pay a fine, you learn English, you stay out of trouble, you've got a job, you go to the back of the line so that those who came here...
Interesting, right? I mean, they not that you take Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton particularly on the level, but this is how it goes. They continue to move the middle ground left until they just blow open the doors, invite everybody in, have these awfuls put up no person can be illegal signs in their yards in leafy suburbs, and you have the chaos that has been engendered over the past 4 years that the Trump administration is attempting to address. 312-642-5600 is our call-in and text line if you want to chime in on this conversation. As a bridge to the present, Peter Schweitzer's got a new book out, The Invisible Coup, providing some historical context to this devolution of the neo-Marxist party on this issue. Here's what he had to say recently about the sanctuary movement. Did you hear Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama talking about not compelling state and local authorities to work constructively with federal law enforcement, promoting sanctuary cities, carrying on about no person being illegal, trying to cast members of foreign terrorist organizations as the poor and downtrodden yearning to breathe free? Schweitzer.
The sanctuary movement started in the 1980s as a result of the civil wars taking place in Central America. And the sanctuary movement presented itself, and still does today, with sanctuary cities, et cetera, as just humanitarian. We accept any refugee with open arms. Well, when you actually look at what the people who run these entities actually say, you get a different story. They're quite explicit that who they want coming in and the people that they are going to cater to are hardcore activists that are linked to Marxist movements, whether that's the FMLN, which was the terrorist Marxist insurgency in El Salvador, which killed American soldiers, or whether that is the Nicaraguan government. Those are the people that get favor. And because they are radicalized, because they are battle-hardened, because they are anti-American in their outlook, and there's no subtlety in their outlook, they came to take over a lot of activist organizations and labor unions. In fact, in the 2008 Barack Obama election, they were vitally important. They were the backbone of activism. And as a result, when Barack Obama became president, he actually issued an executive order that got rid of the restriction on allowing FMLN members to come to the United States, become naturalized citizens. They have been barred from doing so previously under every previous president because it's a terrorist organization which has killed American soldiers. Barack Obama rewarded them by getting rid of that restriction. And this continues. You have officials talking about that up to the present day. So I would encourage people, when you look at what's happening on the streets of America, there are violent protests in Los Angeles, in New York, what's going on in Minneapolis, you're going to notice that there are a lot of people that are there that were from overseas. They don't even necessarily speak English. A lot of them are hardcore activists who have been imported into the country, and this is their job, to transform America through radical, violent political action.
And think about that, what he was talking about in terms of not just unions, but think about how much more radical some of these big government unions are in particular as compared to 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. How'd that happen? And then those that emanate from those unions and move over to an NGO or run for political office. Don't we have a mayor, big city, that did that? And we have a couple, actually. Few. Several. Many. And is the playbook very similar? It is. And is it advanced to the point where you have at least local officials running under the socialist banner? You do. All on a continuum. Jack, Northwest Indiana.
Hey, Dan, good morning. So, Dan, I actually commented on this a while ago on your show, but I'm a first-generation American, born here. Parents, grandparents, relatives came from Europe, and they're naturalized citizens. So this is really, really near and dear to my heart, because there were struggles. It's not easy being an immigrant, from language barriers to financial issues. I recall my grandfather, who happened to be a carpenter, literally spending time at the dining room table trying to learn cursive, writing in English. And so English was spoken. It was just a matter of functioning in a society that, in many instances, did not welcome them. My grandmother would tell me stories about her being told, as a German immigrant, you don't belong here. This is post-World War II in the 50s, so Germans weren't necessarily welcome. So I understand and have sympathy and empathy for those who struggle, who are first generation, taken advantage of by the system. But I do know it's the only way forward if you want to assimilate and if you want to have a cohesive society. And we are not going to go back to the Biden era or beyond.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Appreciate that perspective. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
On a more practical level, the best way to get back at awfuls is to vote off the politicians they support. The way to do that is to get involved at the local level. You got candidates coming up. Get involved with them. Become a precinct chair if you don't have one already. So I think I'll keep. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, good. That's all right. Thanks, Kevin. I keep beating that drum to get involved. That's okay. Marvin, Burlington, Wisconsin.
Yeah, good morning. I sort of a question for you, Dan. I mean, this is not so much for government unions, but say the private sector labor unions. Why are they the leadership all for this illegal immigration? I mean, I sort of know why. But the rank and file, I mean, this is diluting your skill, the value of your skills and as labor. and it holds down wages. So you're voting against your union leadership, who is taking positions that are not good for your self-interest. I straighten me out on that, would you?
Well, thanks for the call. It's complicated. I mean, I think a lot of the rank and file of the trade unions are completely supportive of federal immigration law enforcement. But there's some complicating factors, including a belief that an attack on any union is an attack on all unions. In other words, if you do things like promote right-to-work laws, then and you do it under the guise of going after the government unions, teachers, SEIU, AFSCME. The trade unions take it as an attack on all. And so sort of an infringement on the right to collectively bargain. And so that's sort of, first principles, that's sort of fundamental. So if you sort of attack the premise from which they start, then some of these other differences of opinion on political issues, even if they're impactful to a certain extent, are subordinated to those sort of larger, more fundamental issues in their minds. So, you can't just, it's like talking like, it's like saying, black voters are more church-going, more religious, tend to be even more pro-life. So we can appeal to black voters, conservatives can appeal to black voters by our common belief in God and, and policy positions that are informed by that belief in God about things like the sanctity of life. It's a nice idea. Problem is that's not fundamental when it comes to motivating or when it comes to what animates the votes of so many black Americans. And if you can't connect with them on economic security issues, then the fact that you share a faith tradition doesn't have the impact. So, people are complicated. There's a lot of variables in terms of how people process and assess their interests. You can't just isolate it. John in Villa Park.
Hey, Dan, and to the guy that just called, and I had told you this before, how come, you said, how come the guys at the union level aren't fighting back? And I'll tell you what, it's because our president and our representation, they are dyed-in-the-wool guys. They go around the country. They are given the playbook all the time on how to keep the rank and file. Got to vote your job. Listen, a best bud of mine was always saying, you got to vote your country and your job later. But we had a guy that is just like us that was running for president, and they shot him down. They said, oh, you were a foreman or a superintendent of a company, and you're going to intimidate the guys that you worked with to vote for you. And they shot him down. And just like that, they got the book and they got the hammer. They could do what they want. And the rank and file isn't for it. We were screaming at them this year because we got taken over by another local. And we said, hey, you want to know why healthcare costs are so bad? Because you said to vote for Obamacare, or the guys that represent Obamacare, and look where we're at now. Our prices have skyrocketed in the union because it's hit us. And also, they're taking in illegals. And the union knows they're illegal because when it comes time to collect their pension, they're not going to get it. Now, that, in one way, kind of reinforces the pension fund, which is how they were able to save their pension fund. It was 80% funded. It's all a joke. So, sorry.
No, thanks for the call, John. Appreciate the perspective. It's, as I say, it's complicated. Now look at what you saw, the head of the Teamsters Union do in terms of taking a neutral position, O'Brien, in the presidential race. But the heads of these unions, including the trades, they're political figures too. Of course, they have to play politics because public policy is particularly impactful on the trades, as obviously it is the government unions. So, in a state like Illinois, it's additionally complicated by the fact that the Republican Party, the opposition party, has been so inept and confused and cowardly. So you also have to say, okay, well, you make a bet on who am I going to be dealing with and what kind of relationship do I want to have with them. So, like I said, it's complicated. But speaking of the radicalization, and it was on display at that Church Cities congregation that was broken up by Don Lemon and his friends. Oh, no. Don Lemon, just a journo. He wasn't part of it. One congregant who was there while people were screaming at prayerful congregants at Church Cities had this to say about Don Lemon's journalism cosplay.
There is the clip of him talking about looking at the young people who are exiting the sanctuary and saying how they're traumatized, they're disturbed, and that's what's necessary in a protest like this. And I think that's just disgusting. I think that, we as Christians are never promised peace or comfortability in this life. We know that people will be against us, but that does not mean that we shouldn't call people out when they do something like that or when they say something like that against us. And I think that that is just a terrible thing to say about anyone, that they should be traumatized for the sake of a political agenda. So I am not on board with what he was doing there. I don't think he should have been there. I don't think he had the right to be there. He was part of the group that disrupted our worship service, even if he was just documenting it. Frankly, I don't really care if he was there to just document or if he was there to protest. He was there, and he was part of what disrupted our worship service. And so I don't think he should have been there. I don't think he should have said the things that he said. I don't think that it was the right time to interview a pastor in the midst of a protest, in the midst of his flock being attacked by wolves. And I just think that he handled it very unprofessionally.
He's not the only one. A Biden staffer named Yemisi Egbawoli. Hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Well, she was on Special Report with Brett Baer last night. She said this about Lemon.
I mean, it's one poll, but it shows you that maybe it's not moving as much as people think it is.
No, and situations like this with Don Lemon and the church are not helpful. Look, I don't believe that faith and politics are mutually exclusive. The people who led the civil rights movement were church leaders. But this is not the civil rights movement. And this is harkening back to 2020, where we saw people from outside of a community engage in civil unrest and leave. Don Lemon doesn't live in Minnesota. He is not going to help that community heal and get put back together, and people are watching.
Overplaying their hand the way they did during the Summer of Love. I think that's on the mark. As I mentioned, I can't leave the segment without keeping my promise to offer you Nicki Minaj's take. Pretty quick turnaround. Dave Swirsky-esque. Nicki Minaj put together a quick little rap in response to Don Lemon's antics. And it's not even profane, shockingly.
Yeah. Order in the court, please. Miss Judge on the mic. Bring the choir in. Ay, Don Lemon in the back row. Fake fur, tight pants, and a weak glow. Trying to preach, but he reading from a talk show. Facts all wobbly, stunting for the B-roll. Oh, you ain't Peter, you ain't Paul. Those are just the guys you cracked at the mall. Right before you pulled up at a church hall. Don't blame the Christians and act appalled. Sunday service, families made prayer. Here you come, put my mic on air. Turn the pulpit to a press event. Now the bailiff taking evidence. Don Lemon, why you so bitter? Crying like a little bitch on Twitter. Unwatchable like Jennifer Welch. Gonna have to start a new show from a cell.
That's not bad. That's probably Nicki Minaj's best work. And, I don't even calling Don Lemon a little bitch. I don't find profane. I find descriptive. Coming up at 8:38, we'll turn our attention to Trump's comments yesterday on NATO and Greenland and get Jed Babin's perspective. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 28 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A woman and child are safe this morning after being rescued by Chicago firefighters. According to reports, the firefighters were called regarding a house fire in the 2000 block of North Laurel Avenue on the city's northwest side early this morning. The woman and child were trapped in the higher floors, requiring firefighters to use their ladder for rescue. The pair were taken to the hospital for evaluation and treatment. Lurie Children's Hospital will no longer be offering gender-affirming treatment for minors. The hospital had discontinued gender-affirming surgeries last year, but was still providing gender-affirming medications to minors. And identical twin brothers are facing identical charges. According to reports, Aaron and Andre Richmond have both been charged with sexually assaulting female students at high schools in the Thornton Fractional High School District. A statement from the district acknowledged the charges against the two former teachers, stating that they would not comment on the case. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Catch more money with leading economist Steve Moore.
I'm excited about America. I think things are going really well. I think we've turned a corner here. I think Biden economics is well behind us now. This is a miracle what's going on here. If anything, it's better than I thought it would be. So many good things happening in the economy. Low inflation, low unemployment rate, consumer confidence up, business confidence up. All of the indicators are pointing north right now.
It's More Money, Saturday at 3 on AM 560. The Answer. Hear podcasts from Chicago's Morning Answer, The Sean Thompson Show, and all of your favorite AM 560 hosts. Go to 560theanswer.com/podcasts to listen and subscribe.
Hey homeowners, did you ever think that improving your home could be easy, fun, and affordable? Well, it can be. With just one quick visit to this weekend's huge free admission home show in St. Charles. This year's show is better than ever, saving you time and money on thousands off the latest home improvement products and services. From interiors to exteriors, from decor to outdoor. You'll find it all at the free home show this weekend at the Kane County Fairgrounds in St. Charles. For details, visit CaneCountyHomeshow.com today. That's CaneCountyHomeshow.com.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is Kevin Coyne, Chairman of the DuPage County GOP. I am inviting you to our Lincoln Day dinner on Friday, February 27th at Abington Banquets in Glen Ellen. We will feature keynote speaker and national political commentator Tudor Dixon. Enjoy an evening of camaraderie, great food, and Republican unity. Sponsorship packages are available. Purchase tickets today at DuPageGOP.com. Paid for by DuPage County Republican Central Committee.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Pain doesn't just hurt your body, it cripples your life. I know this because I've seen it with people I care about. If joint pain is holding you back, start the new year by doing something different. There's a way to get real relief without surgery and without putting your life on pause. But you have to take that first step and contact my friends at QC Kinetics. They provide regenerative treatments that help your body repair the areas that are causing pain. I've talked to people who've been through this. These are real results. Achy knees, hips, shoulders, wherever it hurts, instead of facing surgery that sidelines you for months, QC Kinetics treatments happen in the office. Simple procedures that deliver big, life-changing results. January is supposed to be your clean slate month, so make it one. Stop managing the pain and start solving it. Call now to learn more and tell them Dan Proft, that's me, sent you when you do. The number 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics to start the year right. 312-827-6261.
If moving safely around your home is a concern, you deserve clear answers, not a sales pitch. Access will help you improve home accessibility with practical solutions like lifts, grab bars, and home modifications, designed to fit your home, your needs, and budget. Experienced professionals will take the time to explain your options so you can make an informed decision. If staying safe and comfortable in your home matters to you, start with a free in-home consultation. Call Access at 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated.
Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Lakeshore Drive is still the big trouble spot. It is jammed between Bryn Mawr Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. The Kennedy is no picnic either. Stop and go in the express lanes between Montrose Avenue and Ohio Street. It's 44 minutes inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound looks good at 15. The Stevenson, that's heavy. 46 minutes inbound, 34 outbound from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore Drive. You're real slow on the Eisenhower. 47 minutes in, 29 on the outbound side between Wolf and the old post office, and on the south side, we've got double delays, 37 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, but stop and go on the Dan Ryan express lanes between the Chicago Skyway and the Stevenson. Plus, you're hitting those brakes on both the inbound Bishop Ford and I-57 as you approach the Dan Ryan. This report is a service of Gulf Mill Ford. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect a few flurries in the morning, followed by mostly cloudy skies. Travel may be slow and slippery in the morning, but conditions will improve in the afternoon. The high will reach 30 degrees. Tonight, anticipate a bit of snow in the evening with accumulation between a coating to an inch. Skies will remain mostly cloudy with windy and colder conditions as the temperature drops to a low of 14 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We've got a lot of supportive texts. They like that Nicki Minaj song, having fun at Don Lemone's expense. Text from a buddy of mine, 847. If you played in the major leagues, that could be your walk-up song. Yeah, really. It's not bad. It wouldn't be a bad choice. I'm going to have to put that in heavy rotation on the program. And, yeah, I will. I got some texts. I will post that on X, too, for your viewing/listening pleasure. Something I've never been able to say about a Nicki Minaj rap, but I can today. You just never know. All right, going back to Trump's extended press briefing yesterday. Of course, he was asked about Greenland because the left is, as is customary, lighted their hair on fire over this. Let me give you an example. Former United States Senator, yes, seriously, she was, Claire McCaskill from Missouri, had this to say on MSNBC. I was one of the 14 people watching.
I do think that our allies have a really important decision to make. If the members of Congress are too afraid to follow the Constitution, if they're too cowardly, if they're such lily-livered cowards, they cannot follow the power given to them in the Constitution as it relates to war, then he's going to probably use military action. And when he does, Americans are going to die in battle. And then what happens? Really? A guy who said he wanted to get out of foreign entanglements is going to take American lives and lose them because he supposedly cares about rare earth minerals? You know, it is just, this guy is out of control.
Pretty far down the road, Senator. Pretty far down the road from where we are today, aren't you? That was not asked. She knows. Boy, the amount of times Donald Trump was going to get us involved in World War III, according to the left. Sort of like the old joke about how economists have predicted 14 of the last 3 recessions. Anyway, back to Trump. This is what he actually had to say in response to interrogatories about Greenland. Started with being a little curt, and then he opened up on NATO and this present disagreement.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
As I said, perfect for the movie trailer. But then when it was put to him, and as Scott Bessent said over the weekend, the idea of like Greenland or NATO, that this is a binary, is disingenuous, sort of a false choice. And Trump went from, Hollywood movie trailer response to actually a quite diplomatic review.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of it's very interesting.
The NATO alliance.
So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before, in every way. Getting them to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was possible, and pay. At 2%, they weren't paying. At 5%, they are paying. And they're buying a lot of things from us, and they're giving them, I guess, to Ukraine. That's up to them, but they're giving them to whoever they're giving them to, but they're buying a lot. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
Everybody is going to be happy. Jed Babin, former United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense, contributor to the Washington Times and the American Spectator as well. Jed, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, glad to be here.
So we're going to get to a happy place at some point, somehow, says President Trump, vis-a-vis NATO, vis-a-vis Greenland.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen unless we're basically going to say we're going to negotiate a treaty with Denmark so that we can put our missile bases there. And I think that would be the smart move. Trump's not going to be able to bully NATO and the rest of the world into surrendering Greenland. It's just not going to happen. The Danish Prime Minister has said so. The Greenland Prime Minister has said so. Most of the European Union is saying so. And the European Union is basically the same as the NATO nations, almost, with a couple of different changes.
Right.
But, it's just not going to happen. We're not going to be owning Greenland, and we don't need to. The point is, we don't need to. We can have the same thing with all sorts of peaceful relations with Denmark and NATO. Denmark's been one of our best friends in NATO for a long time. And now we're just, I don't know. Trump is a little bit off kilter here.
Well, but I mean, what is something like you suggested, negotiating a treaty for missile bases there and more wide-ranging access? I mean, is that
sure
is that ultimately the compromise position he has in his head, possibly, and he's going to, talk a big game and a tough game and press to get what he wants on what he's willing to accept on his terms?
Well, I guess that's true. I hope that's true. I mean, what Claire McCaskill said was nonsense, obviously. Trump has already said that he's not going to use force to acquire Greenland. So it's not the question of whether we're going to go to war over Greenland. It's a question of what we can negotiate. And if Trump quits bullying NATO and quits bullying Denmark, he can negotiate a good deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, bullying. This is some saber rattling. This is heads of state, and frankly, the Europeans, as the head of the IMF said, need to get their act together, not just with respect to their own economies.
Well, they have not gotten their act together since World War II on defense, and they're not likely to. I mean, they've been sucking off us, to use the incorrect term. Basically, they've been using us as their defense shield, and they have not invested. Now, they may be investing up to 5%. They may be investing up to 2%. At this point, some of the countries, for example, Germany and France, are terribly lagging. Italy has got virtually no defense budget. So it's just the kind of thing that we need to gin up more support for NATO in NATO.
The situation in Iran that's I wouldn't say it's subsided. I mean, it's subsided in terms of talk of strikes and those sorts of things, although there are a lot of military assets that are still positioned in that region. And, assessments of the carnage that was inflicted upon the Iranian people by its government ongoing. What, if anything, should the Trump administration be doing in the direction of Iran at this point?
Well, as I've written since the Trump administration came in, since the second Trump administration came in, I've been saying that the president should have ordered the CIA by a secret presidential directive, which is always secret, to basically help anyone in Iran overthrow the Ayatollahs. And they could have done that secretly. They may yet be doing it.
Yeah, right. I was just going to say.
But we don't know. I mean, at this point, it appears that the revolution sort of just is not going to happen. It's because we have not made our promises good. We have said, President Trump has said, well, we're locked and loaded and ready to go. Intervention is coming, help is coming. And then he basically broke his word. So we can't get the Iranians to go out and demonstrate and riot and protest and get into a revolution if we don't make our promises come true.
Well,
credibility of the United States.
Well, I mean, he said he's going to hit Iran where it hurts. I mean, that doesn't necessarily imply military action. It doesn't necessarily mean in military action. You could take it as the implication, but and there were there are moves in terms of making life more difficult economically for that regime. There have been moves made. But I mean, what does material support or what does aiding the counter-revolutionaries look like? Short of open warfare.
Well, it means, number one, providing them with communication equipment, opening up the internet, and providing them with arms. Basically, we need to foment a revolution there, and I don't believe we're doing it. We're not doing it certainly successfully. So at the point where President Trump said we're locked and loaded and ready to go, that implies a military assistance. And unless he comes through with that, I just don't think that the Iranians are going to be able to overthrow the Ayatollahs, and they're not going to be able to rely on America as anything for the next 20 years.
But these these counter revolutions are so difficult too, because you've got, sure. I mean, maybe upwards of 16,000 or more people that were murdered by this regime, mowed down.
Yep.
And it's tough to mobilize and be ready to go and to ensure that this counter revolution could be sustained when the regime is set and able apparently to murder their way out of it. I mean, it's just a lot to put on the United States, and without putting American men and women in harm's way, isn't it?
Well, I think that's true, but on the other hand, the president shouldn't have promised that unless we were going to do it. Again, it's a question of American credibility. It's a question of American credibility in Iran, whether we have the ability to aid them in their revolution. We should have, again, provided a lot of internet, a lot of communication equipment, a lot of arms, and we may still be doing that, but I don't believe so. So at this point, there's nothing that's going to happen in Iran other than the Ayatollahs are going to reassert control. They're already doing that. They've got armed military militias roaming the streets and apparently murdering people at will. So there are just a lot of things that are going on in repressing the Iranian people. The Iranian people are the only ones who can commit this revolution. And if they're not going to do that without our help, well, I think that's a big problem for us.
What if any, concerns would you have? I talked to Stephen Bucci about this from the Heritage Foundation as well the other week. the possibility of if there were military strikes, what those would look like and what the targets would be. And he talked about basically like IRGC bases where they're where they're operating from and putting down the counter-revolutionaries in no uncertain terms. That those could have those targets could have been hit. Is that something that should have been done, could have been done, could still be done? And if so, are there any downsides to that need to be contemplated?
Well, there are a lot of things that, number one, hitting the IRGC is not nearly enough. We have to hit the Supreme Ruling Council. We have to hit the IRGC. And, quite frankly, the IRGC is in charge of and controls the Iranian economy right now. So you have to disengage them from that. So there's a lot of things that have to be done, again, by the Iranian people. We can't do it by ourselves, and neither can they. If we are going to strike at Iran, we have to strike at the Ayatollahs directly. We have to strike at the IRGC directly. And, whether they've got 8 bases around, it's a lot more than that. So we have to deny them the ability to launch their missiles at Israel and Europe and so forth. And that's going to require a sustained amount of massive military attacks, massive bombing raids that are going to continue for weeks. So it's not going to be the kind of thing that's going to be in and out quickly. It's going to be the kind of thing that we have to sustain for a very long time.
That's probably something that if that was communicated to Trump per the military brass, which I assume it was, that may have soured his interest in pursuing it.
Well, it's also he's been under a lot of pressure from the Saudis and from the UAE and Qatar. I mean, Qatar is not our ally. They proved that when they were harboring the Hamas leadership for so long. And Saudi Arabia is always playing a very cagey game.
Mm-hmm.
The Saudis are very scared. They're scared to death. Their eastern province, where they have most of their oil facilities, is about 30% or up to a third Shiite. And if we go into Iran, if we go in with their oil force, they may very well rebel. They may damage the Saudi oil facilities. And, again, the Saudis are scared to death that that's going to happen. So they're lobbying Trump to stop doing anything he's doing in Iran. And, again, the Qataris and the UAE as well.
Jed Babin, former United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense, contributor to the Washington Times and the American Spectator as well. Jed, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you very much.
Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in the New Markets Tax Credit Program and were fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you okay?
What's wrong? I think I have 24-hour walking ammonia. Pneumonia. Yeah, that too.
Wait, didn't I see you working in the warehouse just an hour ago?
Must have been somebody else.
I think someone's pretending to be sick so he can lie around on the SB 9000 sofa.
Oh, is this the SB 9000? I didn't notice.
It's only one of Penny Mustard's most popular sofas.
And most comfortable, with Qualex Ultra Foam cushions and individual seat springs.
Please let me suffer in peace.
What's that glowing under your blanket?
Are you binge watching your favorite fishing show?
Fine, I'm not sick. I just wanted to spend the afternoon on the SB 9000.
Well, you had me going.
Really?
In fact, Oh no, I think I'm coming down with something too.
The SB 9000 sofa, American-made and tariff-free, starting at $33.93 at Penny Mustard.
6 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Stay tuned for a special message from Angel Dad Joe Abraham about his daughter Katie.
Put yourself in my shoes. I just spent my first Christmas without Katie. My daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant Governor Pritzker protected. Imagine her final breaths, knowing that you would have given your life for hers, but you didn't have the chance. Put your child in Katie's shoes. Think of the unfulfilled dreams, the unrealized joys, and the permanent loss. I'm not a political guy, but when politicians unleash violent criminals, we all need to get involved. We can do better, and we must do better. Ted Dabrowski would have protected Katie, and he'll protect your children the way I wish someone had protected mine.
I'm Ted Dabrowski, and I approve this message.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah. Order in the court, please. Miss Judge on the mic. Bring the choir in. Ay, Don Lemon in the back row. Fake fur, tight pants, and a weak glow. Tryna preach, but he reading from a talk show. Facts all wobbly, stunting for the B-roll. Oh, you ain't Peter, you ain't Paul. Those are just the guys you cracked at the mall. Right before you pulled up at a church hall. Don't blame the Christians and act appalled. Sunday service, families made prayer. Here you come, put my mic on air. Turn the pulpit to a press event. Now the bailiff take
Nicki Minaj gets a replay today. We'll keep it in heavy rotation, as I said. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago. Can you...
An icy territory is the hot topic at the World Economic Forum. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland.
President Trump says the U.S. needs Denmark, a NATO ally, to give up control for national and world security.
This land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built.
That's the U.S. missile defense system he's planning.
But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO.
But some NATO allies are pushing back, supporting Denmark, which says Greenland is not for sale. That has the president planning 10% tariffs on those European countries, which are